Hey everybody, what is going on? Hopefully everybody is doing well. Sorry about that little bit of a snafu there. We lost connection and the OBS stream decided to die, so there's that. Again, I tried to remove myself as much as possible from the convention, but at the same time avoid being inside of a locked hotel room, so hopefully it's somewhat reasonable. I have no idea. All right, well, I sound pretty good. Well, yeah, so also people were saying I was better when I was holding up the lavalier to my base, so we're on the lavalier here today. So welcome, everybody. Again, I've got my laptop down below, so it might look like I'm looking down more often than I normally do, but my camera is right here, and I'm just trying to follow along and read with chat, so hopefully everybody is doing very well. It's so weird for me not to have my teleprompter in these remote streaming setups, so it is good to see you all. All right. I might tweak a few settings here, but other than that... No. When the camera's right here, Lolly, I can look straight ahead. It's just that for me to look down at chat, I have to turn down. So where am I? That's a great question. That's a good place to start. So I'm at GaryCon. GaryCon refers to Gary Gygax, technically Ernest Gary Gygax, Gary Gygax, who of course was one of the principal creators of Dungeons & Dragons along with Dave Arneson. And of course he, in many cases, kind of gets a lot of the credit for the game. Dave Arneson was kind of pushed out of the equation a little bit in the 70s and 80s, and Gary went on to create Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which sort of beget Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, which begat Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition, 4th edition, and now 5th edition. So just a bit of a history lesson for everybody involved. Gary, well, he lived in and around the Chicago area for most of his life, and at one point in time was living up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Now, Chicago is pretty close to Wisconsin, and Lake Geneva is a small, sleepy resort town about an hour and change northwest of Chicago, west of Milwaukee. And Gary lived there rather poorly with his kids and his wife, and there was a thriving wargaming scene and, of course, a nascent role-playing game scene. But before even D&D was created, the folks over there in Lake Geneva got together at the Lake Geneva Horticultural Center and created GenevaCon, or GenCon. And, named after the Geneva Convention, and of course where they were, Lake Geneva. And GenCon became this location. We've got somebody coming in. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen Glicker.
Hello! This is a great spot.
Yeah.
And we can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Well, Stephen showed me this spot, yes, on the first day. So I was like, when you showed me this spot, I was like, oh, I got to come back here later, and this is where I'm going to do my...
This is a perfect spot.
This
is great. You can see everything.
Yeah, and no one's going to bother me.
I know. This is a good spot. This is really good.
Now, look, everyone's excited to see you.
Hey!
So I was just giving a brief history of the GenCon. All right. So GenCon became this, thriving miniatures game convention, and then in the 70s and the late 70s, when Gary went on to create Dungeons & Dragons, that became the epicenter of the Dungeons & Dragons movement. Now, of course, eventually, GenCon outgrew Lake Geneva and its horticultural center, and it would move to nearby Milwaukee, where it would stay for all the 80s, the 90s, and even the first couple of years of 2000s, until eventually GenCon was purchased. GenCon at this time was owned by TSR, and of course TSR got bought by Wizards of the Coast. Now, Wizards of the Coast at the time was owned by its owner, Peter Adkison. Well, Peter Adkison, near the late 2000s, was approached by a big multinational conglomerate company called Hasbro, and he said, we want to buy your company. And he said, cool, you can buy Wizards of the Coast, but I want to keep GenCon. So Peter Adkison rolled GenCon out of the TSR package and formed GenCon LLC and promptly moved GenCon to Indianapolis. All right, there we go. Cut to a few years later, and Gary Gygax, sadly, passes in 2008. Shortly after his passing, his family decides to start a memorial movement here in his essentially his hometown of Lake Geneva, where he sort of grew up and started the D&D movement. And as part of that movement, his family began a new convention, kind of as a throwback to those original Gen Cons that were here in Lake Geneva, except now it became known as GaryCon. And this is GaryCon 16, 17?
19.
It is GaryCon, no, it's not 19.
I think so.
No, I think it's XVIII, so it might be 18.
I think it's 19 because
Right.
that's what Luke said. What does it say?
XV, okay, it's on our things. It's GaryCon 18.
18,
Okay,
close.
so no, it's not 19, it's 18. And there's a weird effect of the skin close-up where it gets green. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's like
Yes, that is because we are in mixed light, and there's light bouncing off of a very green wall to the left of us,
so it's making us.
and it's making us look green. So there's not a whole lot we could do here. There's like 7 different light sources all sort of showing us. We can go into black and white is about the best we can do. So
Get a hat.
So GaryCon was started as a celebration of Gary Gygax. And to that end, for the most part, I would say it is really a celebration of D&D. And by D&D, I mean old school D&D. Now, that's not to say that you can't go through these halls and find a game of 5th edition. Far from it. There's actually a fair amount of 5th edition. In fact, we sold a lot more 5th edition stuff today than I thought we were going to.
Yeah. What was that?
Oh, my light turned off. Oops. Oh.
Power.
Yeah, well, that's all right. It's not plugged in, so that's fine. It'll be fine. We'll just be a little bit darker.
Actually, you look okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Yeah, we're on the road. It's fine. But what you will find a lot of here is people playing first edition AD&D. People playing OD&D, as in 1974 white box D&D. The other day, I found a group of like 28 people playing Chainmail, as in the original miniatures game that begat the Dungeons & Dragons game. And as Steven knows, because I was there, I had what I described as
A nerdgasm.
a nerdgasm. And now you might say, why did I have such a nerdgasm? Well, it's because I came in and I look to my right and I see this beautifully, beautifully designed table. Now, when you usually think of wargaming tables, you think of these like modular terrain pieces where you have like the flat map. Usually it's a kind of neoprene map, and people might have these pre-made hills that they put on top of it. You could pick them up. They're very modular. No, this is one piece. It is literally carved with hills and valleys. The whole thing is beautifully flocked. It is essentially one topographical piece. So it's already a gorgeous map. Now, also, this is not the game that you would ever play in your house. It's about 12 or 14 feet wide. It's about 4 or 5 feet, it's 12 or 14 feet long, 4 or 5 feet wide, and it has 10 players at it. 5 on one side, 5 on the other side. So that's Geek Out number 1. Geek Out number 2. They're playing Chainmail. Now, this isn't just ordinary Chainmail. This is the gentleman who's running this game. By the way, he's been running this game at GaryCon for like the last 18 years. It's his home. It's his version of Chainmail with like 40 years worth of house rules. So it's got like this thick binder. I mean, it's such a bespoke, baroque, complex, labyrinthine, MC Escher-esque. It was crazy. But wait, it gets more. What were they playing with this version of Chainmail? They were doing a simulation of a battle from Lord of the Rings. And you might be saying, wow, that's really nerdy. No, it gets nerdier than that. They weren't doing the Battle of the Pelennor. They weren't doing the Battle of the Morannon. They weren't doing Helm's Deep. They weren't even doing something from the First Age, like or the early Third Age, or the end of the Second Age, like the Battle of Daggerlad. No. They were doing a battle from the mid-early Third Age, representing the Kinslaying, or the Kinstrife, which was a civil war between competing Gondorian king lines after the fall of the king, the descendant of Isildur, Elendil. It's like this, like, it'd be like if you saw an American war game. It'd be like if you saw an American war game and you're like, oh, is that World War II? Oh, is that World War I? Oh, is that the Civil War? And you're like, no, it's the Mexican-American War. You're like, was there a Mexican-American war? You're like, yes, there was a Mexican-American war. And you're like, that's what you're choosing to simulate? It's the Mexican-American War equivalent of Middle-earth. And then this is how you know my audience is fucking awesome. Yeah. Woodland Fellowship goes, the Kinstrife storyline is so cool. Dirty Phil with a $5 super chat says, for the stream, I remember the chainmail miniature game. Now, Dirty Phil, you might be thinking about the reprint of the chainmail miniature game that they did with the late 90s from TSR. I remember buying some of those, and those were actually really cool miniatures. That was more of a traditional miniature game rather than like a full war. It was more of a skirmish miniature game.
You know, wait, my favorite part was everyone was wearing their little badges.
Oh, yes.
That was the best. I thought that was whole next level.
Yeah, everybody had their epaulets representing what what fiefdom or what domain they belonged to. So you had somebody who had like the heraldry of Dol Amroth, or another one had the heraldry of like Tol Brandir. Like it was like the most nerdy. It was so like. And I have video of this. Don't worry. I'm gonna make like a GaryCon retrospective video. By the way, right behind that table was another table also playing a chainmail recreation. This time it was a dwarven army assaulting Moria during the expedition of the war between dwarves and orcs. Right after the slaying of not Thorin, not Thrain, Thror, and of course the ending up killing Azog, the Slaughterer. Anyways. Crazy stuff. We also had a tip. Well, my tip readouts are on. Oh, okay. Is that not good? Should they not be on?
I don't know what that means.
It means that my tips are reading out, which is okay. Edward says, you have been missed. I'm having first look withdraws. I hope you're having a good time.
Well, we're going to have a whole bunch of new ones because you got a whole bunch of new games here. You got the Worst Witch.
Yes. So we got Savage Witch? Silent Witch? Secret Witch?
The Worst Witch.
No, I think it's called Secret Witch.
No, that's not what it's called.
All right, well, I got a couple new games, and that was really cool. So we're going to be doing some first looks on that. And you know what? Also, it's just the energy here is so...
primal.
Pure is what I was going.
Pure.
But yeah, like these people have been playing this game. All right. Gatekeeping time. All right, not gatekeeping time, but like old man on his porch yelling at clouds time. I will freely admit that I really enjoy that the hobby has grown and has grown to expand a lot of people and a lot of different, and I'm really excited about how it's grown to expand, more women, more people of color, more people of different sexualities. I think that's fantastic. But this, by the way, this has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with what I'll call generic normies. That's men, that's women, that's theys, that's blacks, whites, Asians. Gen Con and a lot of the bigger conventions have sort of been diluted down by people who are just, fantasy adjacent. And that's okay. There's a place for everybody. Yeah. It's a very big, hobby, and there's room for everybody. But as someone who grew up at a time and a place where your nerddom was this like secret thing that you held close to you, there's a lot of times where you meet somebody and you just make an assumption, oh, you're at a gaming convention. Tell me about your D&D character. And they go, what's D&D? I don't play D&D. What would you say your highest stat is? And they're like, what? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I like Stranger Things. And you're like, okay. But see here, okay, I told this story. Were you there? No, at the booth today.
No.
I said, I've been running convention booths for Steven for the last year. And when we go to like Gen Con and PAX, you will be shocked at the number of people. We have this dice tower. And people can, it's a fun, come win a prize. You put a dice, you take a D20, you roll it in the dice tower. If you get a 1, you get a pin that says, haha, you rolled a 1. And if you get a 20, you said, I rolled a critical hit at Roll for Combat. You would be surprised how often at PAX, Gen Con, people come up, they pick up the D20, they look at the dice tray, and they kind of set it down in the dice tray. Now there's this awesome Dragon Tower dice tower, and they don't put it in the dice tower. And we go, no, you got to put it in the dice tower. At GaryCon, every single person put it in the dice tower. Nobody was confused as to what that thing was.
I figured it out. And actually, the KOC audience would love it. It's like, I feel like KOC audience and you and me, like we are as hardcore as it comes, and we've been doing this forever. and everyone here is us.
Yes.
Like everyone here is at this level. Everyone.
Yeah, like you think I'm hardcore. It's like there are people who've been playing D&D here, like a vast majority of these people, before I was even born.
Yeah.
And you might say, okay, so it's only old people. No, because you meet young people here, and they're like, oh yeah, I started playing D&D when I was 3.
Yeah.
You know, like I was born. My dad named me. My middle name is 3rd edition. You know, like it's like.
Well, no, and there was a family, and they had their daughter who was maybe like 7.
Yeah.
And they picked up Eldamon just to get her into D&D.
Right.
Like they literally want to, ingrain her into it. And they're like, "Oh, do you like this?" And she's like looking at the pictures and she's really into it. They're like, "We're buying it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're telling me how they're going to use this to put her into the D&D universe.
Now, am I saying? Look, I'm not a parent and I don't pretend to be one, but it's like the equivalent of like some dad and then like their daughter is born and they're like their daughter's like 3 or 4 and they're like, you will like softball, like you're a daddy. I want to go inside and play with it. No, you're getting, and not until you get 5 more hits. It's like the people here are like that with their dice, like they're teaching their kid to grab the D20 at a young age. It's like it's great. It's so great to just be surrounded by such powerful nerd forces. Like, again, I'm not trying to be like schmarmy and a shit, like a cocky son of a bitch. But I've been to 2 seminars here, and I was sitting there like, oh, okay, yeah, let me take notes. Oh, okay, wow, that's a good point. Wow, I need to remember that. That's a good piece of advice. Somebody would stop by the booth, and instead of like me being like blah blah blah, they'd be like, well, have you considered it? And I'm like, wow, that's a great point. So like people here are just there, they know what they're talking about, and so. It's nice to be surrounded by. In some ways, it reminded me of the KOLC community, which I love.
That's what I said.
Because they are a very they get the message, they get the notes. We did have a super chat from Agile Monk. Oh, that's the wrong one. Agile Monk. Oh, we're rocking our green foreheads.
I know. We need a little makeup. We need a little.
Agile Monk says, Stephen and Derek, you two are rocking it with your green foreheads.
Yeah, well.
Well, listen, like I said, we're in weird lighting here. We appreciate it here. Is GaryCon going to be a yearly trip now? I don't know. I mean, it is
at least next year.
I mean, it is. Well, yes.
Yeah.
So next year, of course, we are going to be hyping up
Probably releasing. Hopefully, I mean, some version of Deathbringer.
Right. It may not be.
And Professor will be here.
Right, and that's the other thing.
That's the thing. And Professor, can you imagine? You think he holds court at Gen Con? He will be like royalty here. Like every single person knew who he was.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I mean, I'll say this: for as many people as surprisingly bought, again, you might think, oh, what did you sell here? No, we sold Eldamon, we sold Jewel of the End. We sold out of Eldamon. We sold, and it's day 2.
Yeah.
We almost sold out of Jewel.
One left.
Of Jewel of the Indigo Isle.
We have 1 left.
But we also got a lot of people hyped up for Deathbringer, and they're like, yes, that's cool. And so it was really, really great to see that. Hey, we got another super chat from Commander Snookums. Hey, Commander Snookers. Is GaryCon just older games? Is there newer, not OSR games? Are they welcome? Or is it a bastion of wondrous esoterica? Okay, I think any gaming is welcome here. But
it has to be OSR.
But I will say this: 95% of the games here, like for example, you played Fabula Ultima,
and those did not sell out.
Right.
Like everything,
yes.
And I mean everything is sold out.
Right.
That did not sell out.
The PF2 Pathfinder Society games are not sold out.
Starfinder did not sell out.
But if you want to have anything that says AD&D, DCC, Shadow Dark, OD&D, Call of Cthulhu, anything that was published in the 80s or earlier, it's sold out. So I would definitely say it is more of a celebration of the legacy of these games. Now that being said, there's still a fair amount of 5th edition here too. But I actually argue that 5th edition is kind of an old school game if you played it that way. I mean, if you cut out skills and feats, which are optional feats are an optional rules in original 5.0.
Well, here's the thing, because I actually played a lot of 5th edition last year when I came, and there was a lot of newer players. So I feel like when I played any of the older games, because I did play Eric Mona's game where we played the Circle of 8. and that was definitely like some really old school people. And we were playing first edition D&D, but then when I was playing the 5th edition D&D, there was a lot of younger people. Yeah. And these are definitely people who want to get into the hobby, and maybe, they feel either A, uncomfortable playing first edition because it can be intimidating playing with people who are a little bit older, older than their parents probably, and have been doing this their whole lives. And also, they probably already knew 5th edition, and it's just more comfortable. Right. So I saw that. I saw both. And to be honest, Shadow Dark, holy crap. Shadow Dark is it's almost, actually, they do sponsor this. They're like, it's practically a Shadow Dark convention. There's so much Shadow Dark here.
Yeah, I mean, they have their own room, their whole floor, basically. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
And it's all they run.
Dirty Phil says, Derek is never leaving. Is this your Graceland? That's a great question. No. And because the fact of the matter is, look, these people appreciate a good dungeon, and I love that. Obviously, we here at Knights of Last Call, we want to create a Shadow Dark game. Now, to be fair, our Shadow Dark game is inspired by the heroic adventures of a young group of hopeful heroes, which is a little bit of a tonal shift. But, it is definitely something that I love. I've spoken many times on this channel about my love for BX D&D. My introduction to the hobby was basic D&D, the black box basic set, which is basically basic 5th edition. Actually, it is, I think, the 5th edition of basic. It's either 4th or 5th. And so I started the game like this, and I, of course, love dungeons and all that other jazz. But I also love the modern game. I love the indies games. I love the complex games. I like games with crunchy mechanics. I like games with narrative mechanics and meta currencies. I like games that let players take declarative narrative control of the environment. So I think that, I think on the whole, I definitely think that I appreciate what they're doing here. But is this my Graceland? I would say no.
I know what your Graceland is going to be. Origins.
Well, that's true.
NightCon.
Session 0. Yes, and that's partially because I love playing games. I mean, as much as I like talking about games, I like playing games. And we never get to play games at these things, which is rather unfortunate. No. Are there many pumpkin spice buyers here? No.
But what is insanely popular here is Pirate Borg. Pirate Borg is right up there with Shadow Dark.
Yeah, they have they probably have the biggest booth in the hall.
Yeah, and that booth is packed. Like, I went over there, and I was hanging out and I did a demo game, and it was just like nonstop. It was unbelievable. Now,
Kojo says, I wonder if there's anyone there playing Wilder Feast, and no one's here. To be fair, Kojo, I love, shout out to my boy KC, who made Wilder Feast, but I doubt there's anyone playing Wilder Feast anywhere.
Well, you know what?
Like in the world.
I actually, next year, might put down a Wilder Feast game, a Avatar The Last Airbender game. What else can we get in there? Pumpkin Spice game, and see if anyone signs up for any of those games.
I remember, I think at Gen Con, there was one Wilder Feast game at the entirety of Gen Con, and I don't think it sold out. Nimble, no Nimble.
No. Nimble would do well here. Nimble would do excellent here.
Yeah, so one thing I think that is important to note, Steven was talking about Pirate Borg, and he was talking about Shadow Dark, and it's definitely an old school vibe here. But one thing that I think is generally true is a lot of these people, we sometimes poke fun at the older games, and especially even some of the modern games that are homages to those older games that really embrace, here's the endless tables and the uber crunchy simulationism. A lot of these newer games, Shadow Dark, are really light. And I think that a lot of these old guys, these old heads, and even the newer people, they're like, I love old school games. But they don't want a 350-page book with 755,000 rules, They just want a game with hit points, armor class, swords, shields, goblin blood to spill, treasure to find, and let's go get it, I do think that I've seen that shift, even amongst the older demographic, kind of to the Borgs and the Shadow Darks and kind of that lighter style of game.
Also, keep in mind, these are all pickup games, and they need to get in, play, and get out. And the old school first edition, looking up every single rule, that's an all-day game that you used to play with your friends
Right.
on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
That you can get away with that because you would play 10 hours and really you would make 1 hour of progress or 2 hours of progress. Here, you need to play 4 hours and get 3.5 hours of progress. You need very little downtime.
Yeah, and even like when I think about old Gen Con, right, you'd be like, oh, there's an AD&D game session. You're like, yeah, we're an hour 10 of the game session. Right now, everything's like, 3 hours, and then you can leave so you can go check your phone. And people just don't have that kind of, I hate to say it, but they don't have that kind of patience to sit around.
I played in that first edition game with Eric Mona, and it was a 5-hour game, and we barely finished it. And the first 2 hours was literally just introductions and figuring out how we were going to play. And we didn't even really start playing until about 2.5 hours into the game.
And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of rules in first edition AD&D. Zip Zap Rap says first edition didn't have a lot of rules. Y'all are wild. Zip Zap Rap, please go read the weapon speed factor rules and the initiative rules, and go read the rules about weapon versus armor class modifier hit table. That alone is more complicated than most games. Oh, you're using a Guzarm Volge against chainmail and a shield? Well, that's going to give you a -2 modifier to your hit. Oh, but you're using a longsword against Brigadine and they're wielding a buckler. That's a +2 to hit. I don't know. I'm making it up, but that is pretty crazy. But what I was going to say, kind of in line with what Zip Zap Rap is saying, though, is if you watch a lot of people play first edition AD&D, and they're basically just rolling to hit versus armor class. They're using Thaco, but whatever. And, they're basically playing it like it's a super rules-like game anyways. They're basically ignoring 90% of the rules of first edition AD&D, for sure. Well, Dirty Phil, it's been a long month. It's not over yet, but yeah, it's nice to see the nerd experience for sure. And also too, again, I'm a historian of the game. I respect the game. One of the things I've said this before, and again, it's not a knock. It's not a knock against Ginny D, but you go to Gen Con and you'll see Ginny D has an autograph line stretching out across the hall. She has 100 people waiting for her to get her autograph. Meanwhile, which is great, people love Ginny D. No shade there. But then that doesn't even bother me. But then right across from her will be Ed Greenwood. And he's twiddling his thumbs. You come here.
Oh. That line's out the door, down the hall.
Ed Greenwood, Keith Baker, Doug Kovacs, Jeff Easley, Larry Elmore, you name them. The line is down the hall and out the hall and down the hallway. The people here, they respect, the titans of the game. They respect the architects of the game. And again, that's great if you love, some stupid shill YouTuber, who doesn't know shit, but like me. But, you should, if you want to come and hang out with me, great. But you should trample me into the mud if it means you would get an opportunity to go and meet with some of the titans of our industry and some of our titans of our hobby.
To be fair, you signed a fair share of autographs here.
I did, but a fraction. And I'm just saying, if you had to pick between me and Ed Greenwood, you should pick Ed Greenwood every single time.
You know what? Also, a lot of people here were showing me, I was just hanging out, actually I was hanging out in the hall, and people were showing me their books, their first edition, second edition books that they brought here to get signed by all the greats. And they were just they were showing me everything.
Oh, yeah.
And they were here to finish their collection.
Right.
And there's a lot.
Right, they've been getting autographs for decades.
Yeah. This is a good place.
Agile Monk says...
That is funny.
says Ozric 3 GM Guide and Players Guides showed up. $2. Yes, yes, luckily, thank you. Shout out to Matt Finch, who gave me a copy for free.
And I'm like, what the heck?
Yes. So I stopped by I stopped by the Mythmere booth, and I was talking to Matt Finch, and he recognized Knights of Last Call from all the videos that we did about Tome of Adventure Design and Namacon and World Builder's Guide, and we were talking about the Toad, and we were talking about procedurally generative design. We were talking about idea genesis. We were talking about adventure creation. We were talking about procedural pre-planning versus kind of Oracle / GM emulation during the game. In other words, it was a fantastic fucking conversation, and it was really really awesome. And so he was really thankful for us and what we did. And he gave the Ostrich 3 books were here, and he said, we were talking about Ostrich, and I remember when I got my first edition of Ostrich and all that other stuff. Yeah. And also, hopefully, when I get home, on the complete other side of it, when I get home, my new Root RPG, the Ruins and Explorers supplement, should be at my house.
You can play that.
Well, I played Root before.
I know, but
I mean, it makes me want
on stream. Are you going to try to play?
Well, it makes me want to. I mean, it's pretty sweet. Zipperfist. I also am. Well, on Zipperfist, to be honest with you, I'm curious what Keith, Chris, and Jeremy are all going to bring to Daggerheart. Now, we know that Jeremy and Chris worked on some of the campaign frames for Hope and Fear, but we're still not 100% sure what their big thing is going to be for either Darrington or for Daggerheart. And nothing I saw at Gamma. One of them is here.
Yeah, one of them is here.
Yeah.
I think Crawford's here, actually.
Zip Zap Rap says, I had him on my podcast in February, and as of then, even he hadn't received the rule books. Well, yeah, they looked brand new. The only one they didn't have, apparently they did a landscape version of the books, and people were very vomiting because they were like, no, we're old school. We only want 8.5 by 11. They originally did some landscape versions, and I guess they did another print run with just portrait, but because they originally had the layout for the landscape, they decided to print them anyways. So she had to completely redo her layout from landscape to portrait.
That sucks. That's a nightmare. That's like my.
That's like your nightmare.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to do that. That's actually horrible.
Dirty Phil says new Root game for stream, live stream a new campaign. I mean, never say never, Dirty Phil. I mean, we've made worse decisions like doing a Root actual play.
It's true.
It is true. 15 Insight says, when we get the next mega game going or community game, I will definitely tap in. Well, I'm looking forward to that 15 Insight. We've got a bunch of stuff planned. I mean, Northern Reaches Season 4 is going to be starting here in the next couple of weeks. That's Pathfinder 2, of course. Bob is diligently at work getting Dragon Tide Season 1 launched. That's Dragonbane. I, of course, want to, once I get back from all this travel, I want to get my Conquest of Moria game started. That's going to be, of course, a live stream solo play with you, chat, acting as my game master / co-player, which we're going to do together on stream. But that world that we play in on stream, that I play in, is going to be shared with a community mega game of Conquest of Moria. So Conquest of Moria will not only be a live stream series here on the channel, it will also be a mega game. And what happens in the mega game will impact what I do on my stream, and what I do on my stream will impact what happens in the mega game. And of course, eventually, someday, Wilderfeast will be a mega game. If you build it, they will come. I'm believing that. Agile Monk with a $2 super chat says, the Ostrich GM screen is filled front and back. Wow. Now, I did not see the GM screen. I don't know if it was there or if I missed it, but I mean, yeah, Ostrich 3 is like if first edition AD&D and third edition D&D had a baby, is the best way I can describe it. And so it's either horrifying to you or it's the best thing that you've ever seen. So, pick your poison. What's up, Tundalus? Now, some of you may be saying, so Tundalus, I'll have to go back and check your VOD. Tundalus had a stream this week. I did miss it. What's up to see you, Dud, buddy? Hey, Tundalus, you beat 5th edition D&D. So we're doing our March Madness tournament right now, and in the first round brackets, Tundalus' Trespasser got paired up against D&D 5th edition, and he won. Well, that's the KOC audience for you. That is true. The VOD is not up yet. All right, well, get it up there. Oh, Zip Zap, you were talking about Keith Baker hadn't gotten the Daggerheart rule books. Okay, I thought you were saying about Matt Finch. Okay, well, that is a problem. Oh, never mind. It's still ongoing. All right. Well, apparently I may have jinxed it. Apparently the vote...
Everyone go on there. Vote for 5E.
Dirty Phil says, I butchered my Daggerheart actual play. Hope and Fear alongside Powered by the Apocalypse. A lot for a new GM. Anyways, loving the energy of this stream. Dirty Phil, you know what? You're not wrong. I mean, how can I describe it? It's like... Daggerheart is like baking, and D&D is like cooking. With cooking, you can kind of just throw anything into the pan, and yeah, it might taste a little weird, but it's not going to like ruin the dish. If you put in the wrong amount of sugar and you're trying to make cookies, or if you forget to put in leavening and you're making a cake, you don't get cake, you get brownies. You might get a completely different material. You might tell yourself, oh, I don't like it when my cookies are too sweet, I'm going to put in less sugar. But what you don't realize is that sugar isn't just about sweetness, it's also about moisture, it's about structure. And so, yeah, your cookies will be less sweet, they also won't be cookies.
You know, it's funny, because you know my wife's a cook.
Yeah.
She hates baking. She's like, meat, and more meat. She only likes to cook for that very reason.
Right. Well, because a lot of people, and I kind of agree with this, people say cooking is an art and baking is a science.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, she does not bake. My son bakes, but no, she refuses.
Think about like when you're cooking, you might go, oh, you know what? Needs a little more cumin. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Yeah. You don't do that when you're baking. You're not like looking at the cookies in the oven and going, oh, it needs a little bit more baking soda, and you sprinkle it on there.
And funny story, she was doing a dessert for she has a book club, and they cook food for the club based on the book. And she didn't read the whole, this is how crazy she is. She didn't read all the ingredient list for the dessert she was making. And then she started to bake it. She got to a part where she was missing something and was like, uh-oh, and literally couldn't do it because you can't leave out an ingredient when you bake because it'll mess up. Like you said, science, it will destroy the whole thing. So she literally had to run out, go buy it, come back. But I'll tell you, when she does like cooking, she'll leave stuff out all the time. She'll just throw something else in, and you can just substitute.
Right. Oh, I don't have this vegetable. Oh, what do I have what do I have? Exactly. Oh, I have this. I'll use that. It's fine. And not to say. And again, like science, you can tweak formulas, but you have to do it realizing that tweaking one thing will tweak another thing, will change another thing.
You have to be Alton Brown. If you're not him, you won't be able to know how to do it.
And I fell in love with baking because of Alton Brown, and that's how I felt. And I was actually in college, and at that time I was a chemistry major. So for me, and he had this thing which was he basically said baking is science, baking is chemistry you can eat.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
We did. Fiasco beat Draw Steel.
That does not surprise me.
Should we have some? No one in my community has ever played Fiasco.
Oh, really? It's so much fun. I mean, I only played that one game, but that was some game.
That was quite the game.
Wait, was that the one you weren't even there?
I was drunk, passed out.
You were drunk and passed out, and Smith. Oh, I learned why Smith is legendary that night, because it's like burned in my brain. He was so funny. That was a great game.
Now when people, by the way, so people were the other day, they were like, "Is there a story there?" I go, Fiasco, the only RPG that has ever gotten me kicked out of a location, and they're like, "What had to happen?" I said, "It involved Smith." So we had another super chat from Commander Snookums. Derek, do you just want to do a cooking stream, and are you using Wilderfeast Mega Game as an excuse? No. I mean, I'm happy to talk about baking. I will say that I like it when games teach you something valuable or useful. I like it when games are sort of like board games. There's a lot of really good. Like for example, if you might play Wingspan and learn a lot about ornithology. Yeah. You might learn a lot about birds from playing Wingspan, and I think that's really neat. So there's a part of me that kind of, if I can co-op a lesson into the experience, then I'm willing to do that. That being said, I will say that I do think we're going to have some Wilderfeast games at NightCon Session 0. In fact, Ryan is one of the few people I know on Earth that has the full, complete collector's edition, including the collector's edition apron.
Oh my God!
And
wow, yes, that's impressive.
And he's going to be bringing that, and he's going to be serving up some delicious games.
I want him to come with the apron, bring cookie cookie trays and like serve everyone their character sheets. I want full immersion.
Now, that being said, there will be cookies. Dennis will definitely be bringing cookies. Boothby, everybody, Boothby. Now, yes, do not forget about the great Fiasco versus Draw Steel debacle. So a lot of the patrons were like, what? Now, some people think that a vote for Fiasco was just a vote to spite Draw Steel and because people thought it was funny and liked to be a troll.
A vote is a vote.
A vote is a vote. Trespasser was up by 20 at the halftime. That's what.
Wow.
Thank you, Edward. Yes, by the way, if you do like this stream, even its chaotic, crazy energy as we're here live at GaryCon, make sure to leave a like. And, of course, you can support us with Super Chats, tips, or join the Patreon, or go over to twitch.tv and leave us a Prime sub follow. We would really appreciate that. Wilder Free Market apparently misses the boats.
Well, you and I are the only people on planet Earth that even have free markets, so...
Yes, I think us and the authors are the only people that...
And that's it.
Tundalus asking the big question.
90% chance I will be at NightCon. We were just discussing it on the ride here after dinner, and we want to go. I want to go, and I want to not do anything except play games. I just want to go, no booth, no meetings, just go. We'll play our ARCs, we'll play our Oath, we'll play anything, any board game. I'll bring some games. That's all I want to do. I want to come and play the whole time.
Yeah, because I mean, both of us have been jamming pretty hard on the con scene this last year, and it's fun. It's exciting. We get to meet our friends, and for me, it's like meeting publishers, distributors, fellow content creators, and that's a really cool, to kind of have that kind of behind the scene fun, but it is nice to get to play, and it's...
I know, we really just, we don't get to play, and even if you do want to get to play, like tonight we can play, but we got to stream, or you got to stream, and we're tired. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like working in a booth all day is exhausting, and it's like the last thing you want to do is, I'll play a board game, but I do not want to do a 4-hour role-playing game.
Yeah, so I agree with that too. Like, I don't want to say, okay, I could be alone on this, maybe, but like role-playing games are never relaxing for me. They are I am very turned on, you know what I mean? Like, not like sexually. Well, if I'm playing Monster Hearts.
Oh, hey!
If I'm playing Monster Hearts, things get out of control. Or apparently Fiasco.
Oh, hey!
But,
that Fiasco game. You're bringing back memories. That was bad.
Alyssa was there too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Smith was like, he was like getting into his girly mode, and oh my God, it was.
We were talking about it on the Discord the other day, and George, who was there but not playing, just all of a sudden goes, he goes, R.I.P. Mike Tabuno.
I actually have video. Remember, I sent you the video because I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I sent a video of Smith, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's like Smith 101.
Yeah, that's Smith 101.
That's like nothing.
That's a 7 out of 10. That's a 7. You didn't get kicked out? 7 out of 10. I remember Smith did basically a very like a Rocky IV / Flash dance montage of his character preparing to kill this nerd who pissed him off with a replica Glamdring sword, and he was leaping around the bar, and then of course that's what led them to be like, "Sir, you're gonna have to leave." Tundalus says, "I'm in for ARCs." We were definitely discussing ARCs and Oath games. In fact, Tundalus, what we were discussing, the big discuss, is I have owned ARCs for I think like 2 years now. I have never yet played the way that Cole Worley designed the game to be played. Cole Worley designed ARCs to be played as the Blighted Reach. It's designed to be played as a 3-part mini campaign where you play basically 3 separate games, but each game affects the next game. And I've never played it. It's called the Blighted Reach. Now, let's say that you know what you're doing, you know how to play ARCs. A game of ARCs might take 3 hours, give or take. They can end faster, actually, because the game can end pretty quick. But let's just call it 3 hours. Let's call it 2.5 hours. So if you're playing that 3 times, you're looking at somewhere around 7 to 9 hours. Now, that's a whole day. And if you take breaks for lunch or dinner or whatever, you're talking about the majority of a day. Now, that might not be reasonable for most people. But at a convention, that is very reasonable.
And also, the Blighted Reach. I mean, ARCs is not the most complex, but it definitely it can take a lot of brain power to play Arcs. That Blighted Breach rule set, oh boy, that is a lot of rules.
It's really it says something when the core game Arcs fits into a very small box. I mean, it's smaller than a box of like Dominion. In fact, actually, it's about the same size as a Root box, if you know what. Blighted Reach looks like an old Fantasy Flight games box. It is a massive chonking box.
Yeah, that was the first thing. I've never seen that, because almost always the main game is big and the expansions are small. And this one, the expansion's 3 times larger than the base game.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, because that game, holy crap, there's a lot going on in that.
It's a lot going. It's very cool. So Tundla says, I own Blighted Reach, but haven't cracked it yet. I think that's everybody. Base game is great. And the worst part too, Tundla, is the base game also has the expansion with the leaders and lore. So if you get bored, if you get bored with the Arcs core game, you can add leaders and lore and already extend your gameplay, by another huge margin. So you could be playing just that for a long time before you get bored with it, before you go to Blighted Reach. And apparently they're working on the next expansion for Arcs.
That's insane. We have to play. Like, that would be the rule. If I'm going to NightCon, we have to play. We will. Well, especially because at NightCon Session 0, we're going to have our own room. That's right. The Knights of Last Call have purchased their own private, VIP-only room so that we can play games, role-playing games, have food, snacks, mega game setups, whatever we want in the privacy of our own room. And you know what? It's going to be fucking awesome. I'm basically going to have my own con, and I fucking love it. A con within a con. It's the inception of cons.
Dirty Phil, the room open 24/7. It should be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because the event hall closes, but the exhibitor hall doesn't. And think about those people that play Werewolf until like the wee hours of the night.
Sure.
Should be.
Yeah.
Besides, I know the Gamma people now. We've hung out. I've talked with them. I've gotten a drink with them.
Why did that happen?
Because I went to Gamma.
That's right. Because I brought him to Gamma to help this happen.
Seldon Hurry. What's up, Seldon Hurry? Root greater than Root RPG. Arc greater than Arc RPG. Root led to a Root RPG. Arc leads to an Arc RPG. Difficult to say.
Arc? Is there an RPG?
No, there isn't. He's saying, but will it?
No. Yeah. You know what? Science fiction, Mark and I have talked about this a lot, and science fiction does not do well.
Except for Starfinder, apparently.
Well, because it's science fantasy. And we've had long discussions about this, that science fantasy does very well. And Arcs is weird, because it's not science fiction, it's not science fantasy, it's science economy. It's very economical.
Yeah, and the other thing is you have to realize Root, the board game, already had this perfect vehicle for a TTRPG in the Vagabond role, right? Because, you had the faction of the Marquise, you had the faction of the Airy dynasties, but then the Vagabond was just this lone, super-powered wanderer, which is basically an adventurer. So Root kind of naturally dovetailed into an RPG. I don't know that Arcs does. And the world of Arcs isn't really well defined. It's kind of amorphous. And I think that's what leads to it being so fun, is because it doesn't beat you over the head with these nothing gets a proper noun. Like, it's just called the Engineers Guild. It's just called the psionic result. So it's I don't know that it
I don't think I think they have enough to handle with the board game, and the board game basically plays as an RPG. I mean, the way we played it, we had a whole storyline going.
But I'm telling you, Cole intended that.
No, I know.
He and I've talked about it on stream. I said
that's why it's called Arcs, because it's story arcs, right. Chapters. Like, it's actually everything in the game is surrounded around books, chapters, arcs.
Right. If they're called chapters, it's called arcs. Yeah. And you don't realize it looks like a 4X space war game, but what you're really doing is creating a story. And that's the same thing with Arc Oath. And I've told people, again, patrons, you got to hound me, because these games are available on TTS. We can play them together, but we need to play these games because it's such a cool experience. It's unlike any other board game I've ever played before.
Hot take: Arcs is just cute Dune.
No, the problem with Dune is you are so priced into your what you have to do in Dune, because everybody has the same. If you're the Atreides is the same every time. What makes Arcs very different than Dune which a lot of, by the way, people that treat arcs like a strategy game get upset about.
They always lose.
Is because, they always lose. Yeah. Because arcs, what scores points literally changes from round to round. And if you go, I'm going to build the biggest army and I'm going to crush everybody, you might do that and literally score 0 points the entire game.
Yeah, I just played 2 weeks ago. I was teaching people how to play. And, in the beginning of the game, because I got aggression cards, so I was beating on everyone and getting points. So everyone else thought, oh, that's how you play. So by the third or fourth round, they were going around beating the crap out of everyone. But then I changed it so that you had to get oil, I forgot what it's called.
Oh, the supply.
The supply resource. And then I just sent around agents stealing all of theirs, and I won the game. And they were like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, because you have to score points. Like, beating up and winning does nothing. Yeah. If you can't get the ambitions, you don't get any points.
Yeah, the ambitions, that's what they're called, yeah. So Dirty Phil, you suggested doing an open live stream 24/7 at NightCon. If I can figure out a way to make that happen, I will. So people can join in and hang out with it. I really didn't expect Derek to be a Goliath. Steven, how tall is he? Well, I'm 6'2".
Yeah, I'm like 5'7". You're 6'2". And we're also at a bad angle here.
Like, we are at a bad angle.
He looks even taller, but Derek is big.
I'm a tall guy. It's the only reason I don't look as fat as I actually am. It's because I'm tall. Edward says, I tried to get some TTS going in the Discord, but it went nowhere. Well, Edward, I may have a little bit of better luck with that because, it's my Discord. But that being said, Edward, I've wanted to get I've also wanted to do community, Blood Bowl leagues or, who doesn't? Blood Bowl's great. And now with the new StarCraft Miniatures game, we could do a StarCraft Miniatures League. It'd be sweet.
That would be sweet. Actually, I bet you if you did a StarCraft Miniatures League, they would cover that too.
Probably. But, I don't know how. We'd be doing it virtually.
They're gonna be. Those guys are going to win coverage, trust me.
I know, that's true. Anything to beat 40K. Commander Sweet. Derek, one of the few people whom I've met that are taller in person.
Yeah, well, a lot of nerds are pretty short. And, that's just not true. And some of these guys are towering over me. But it's hard to always tell how big people are until you meet them. First time I met you, I was surprised how tall you were.
Well, part of the reason for that is because at home, on my streams, I do a good job of framing my camera. And so it makes it look like I'm, it's a head and shoulders shot. No, Edward, the thing is, a couple of things, Edward. Number one, realize I am a gamer. I like war games. I like miniatures games. I like board games. I like card games. I like role-playing games. Role-playing games are my favorite, but I like all games. Some people in our community are just interested in role-playing games. So, if you go onto Knights of Last Call, a role-playing game channel with a bunch of really interested role-playing gamers. That being said, there are plenty of patrons that we have in our community who are, in many cases, just as big, if not bigger, board game fans than they are role-playing game fans. But it's just a question of, also, we have a number of people who hate TTS, which is crazy to me, but...
Well, TTS can be a little clunky. And if you're not comfortable, I've had many a TTS game kind of get ruined by click here, no click here, no click. Oh, you mess up the whole board. You got to go backwards or revert a save. And yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Well, they're working on a second one. Derek seems more like a TTRPG gamer. Yeah, I do love TTRPGs because I love the collaborative nature of them so much. I like competing. It's fun. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what I really like is telling stories together. And that's part of the reason why Oath and Arcs are so fun for me. Because even if I lose Arcs, I lost to you in Arcs badly, but I had a great time because, wow, was that a cool story that we created. And you get to add, as a role player, I can't help but add these cool details about this secret league of mind control psionicists who infiltrated every level of society and began monopolizing all the fuel, the oil, the weapons in their bid for domination. And it was whoa, wow, what a cool game. Did you write? No, we were just playing a war game, but if you take the mechanics, which are bereft of lore, and add your own spin to them, you get a cool outcome. I also played Gloomhaven in TTS as well.
I played Gloomhaven in person, let me tell you. It was fun, but man, did it suck, because I had to do the setup.
I like setting up complex board games.
I didn't mind it, except I had to carry it with me because I had to drive an hour to my friend's house, and I had it in my backpack, so I had to carry around a 40-pound, because I also had wooden inserts, 40 pounds of Gloomhaven, set it up, and then start playing. So it was like an hour of drive, half an hour to set up, and then we start. So after the 50th session, it started to get a little stale.
My recommendation is just get a vaulted game table, set it up, and then when you're done, put the lids back on and leave it.
Now we had to play in my friend's apartment complex and his apartment was too small, so we had to play out in the in the open game, in the lobby, which was also interesting because people walk in what are you doing? This is before COVID, so people are like, what?
Have you ever played Diplomacy? Sorrel, many times. I used to play a lot of play-by-post Diplomacy through a website called V-Diplomacy, which I used to actually play a lot of variant diplomacies. I used to play a lot of Game of Thrones Diplomacy, where instead of Turkey, England, Germany, it was a map of Westeros, and you were the Starks, the Lannisters, the Tyrells, the Martells, the Aarons, and that was really awesome. I used to do that a lot. Playing TTRPGs in TTS is a bit of a tough one. I will say I was looking forward to Project Sigil for that exact reason. That to me is what that is ideally what I want out of a virtual tabletop. I want TTS.
I mean, I used it back when it was in its best state, and it was pretty nice, I had to say. I really liked it. That being said, I played it with Professor Dungeon Master. And remember, Baldur's Gate 3 actually just came out when I was playing it. So for me, I already played a million video games, so it was very much like playing Baldur's Gate 3. So I knew how to do it. Professor had no idea what to do. He was completely lost in a 3D realm because he doesn't, and that's actually part of the problem with it is that, for more than a small number of people, it was too complex to use, while you have maps, which I've actually used quite a bit. I'm in a secret 5e game, by the way, a weekly 5e game, believe it or not. I know. And we were playing with maps. And do you know Mike Merles is the GM? Did I tell you that? Anyhow, and I like maps. It's so simple, but it does exactly what you need it to do. It's that's what won.
Yeah. It won over the complex virtual 3D visuals. Yeah. It's just that I love Foundry so much, but to me Foundry feels like a video game and TTS feels like a virtual tabletop.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I do love Foundry though.
No, it's nice. It is very nice. For some odd reason, I don't like Tailspire. And the reason I don't like Tailspire is I don't like how it's not for me at least, it's missing some of the other accoutrements that I would want out of a 3D engine, which is I get in Foundry. But it's been a long time since I messed around with Tailspire, so who knows?
I've never used Tailspire.
I have no idea how the Game of Thrones board game came about. I never played it. Yes, Diplomacy is well known to be a friendship bane. They just came out with a new version of Diplomacy.
Really?
Yeah. It was being played at Gen Con last year, or Origins. They had huge maps of it. Those big chessboards you see at the mall with the big pieces. They had that for Diplomacy. They moved it to based around India. But what they did is they realized that the original Diplomacy has some major flaws, and they fixed a lot of them. So it's actually apparently a much, much better game. Laba said, I don't think we've ever heard Steven losing or dying. The man is a true veteran.
In what?
In anything.
Well, you played with me.
I beat you. You lost an oath.
Barely, and it took the might of every single player in the game to gang up on me to barely beat me.
You lost, though. That's the important part.
It took a lot.
You also got betrayed after you tried to bribe your way into a victory by bribing somebody with a leather dice case.
Hey man, it's in the rules. You're allowed to do that. And we did have that amazing game of Root where we all finished, you, me, and Bob, with 1 point each.
With 1 point, yes.
Who won? Did you win that one? I don't remember.
I did win that one, but
in that case, I almost consider it's not a tie, but that's literally as close as you can get.
It is about yes. It was very good. Yeah, I won. You were 1 point behind. Bob was 1 point behind that. Very good game. So yeah. Anyways, this has been really cool. It's been a really cool experience. It's been a really cool trip. Again, I'm learning. I'm kind of getting re-inspired and learning stuff. I'll tell you something that I didn't expect to feel coming here. It really makes me want to bust out my work on Shadow Deep, my Mega Dungeon project again.
Wow.
Just because, like, today, like, hearing Kelsey and her team talk about, like, big dungeons and how cool they are, but, like, how they don't sell and they're very difficult to do. And I was like, oh, that's music to my ears.
Like, oh, here's something that no one wants, won't sell, and really hard to do. Where do I sign up?
I'm like, let's go, baby. Let's go.
It's like, what's the Lord of the Rings quote? It's like, minimal chance of success?
Right. Yeah, certainty of death. Certainty of death, minimal chance of success. What are we waiting for? Hey, what's up, Booth B? Just got out of running a session. A knife fight on the edge, on the flying wing of a flying plane, while inside was a brawl with death rays being fired off. Well, I'm guessing that wasn't Pathfinder 2.
Yeah. So I was thinking the same thing. A normal Friday night.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Not a Drummer says Shadow Deep, a mega dungeon for Shadow Tide. No, Shadow Deep, I think would just be for normal Shadow Dark in that regards. Pulp Call of Cthulhu. That makes sense, Boothby. But yeah, it got me jamming on things. I will also say, by the way, I mean, there's not anything to cover, but I will say, I watched that video from MCDM by James Introcaso about crows. It seems pretty cool. It seems like a modernist dungeon crawler in a truest of the sense. And I'm kind of excited.
Well,
Crows looks cool.
I'm actually excited too, except the problem with the word crows.
Well, their thing is you pick over the dead for shiny things.
I know, but whenever you name something, a word that's so common, when you try to search for it, everything is going to come up except for the game.
Yeah, but if you're looking for crows, like they're not trying to target the generic audience.
No, but that's not even the problem. Is that if I'm looking for something and I type in crows, it's going to come up with everything except the game. Even people who want to find it. Like, that's why you want to have a name.
Crows RPG.
No, you're right. But you're going to have to type in Crows RPG.
Okay.
I'm just saying, from a marketing point of view, that's like a big no-no. That's all I'm saying. That's
just funny. Edward says, "No, you're making good financial decisions now, Derek." No, Edward. That I have to stop doing that immediately. A TPK is by definition a murder of crows.
You know. So the best monster I ever designed for Pathfinder 2nd edition was a murder of crows in a trench coat, and it was called the Rook, and it would go around killing people, and they did multiple pieces of art for it. I actually have it all, and they cut it, and to this day I'm still angry about it. It was so good.
Technically, Woodland Fellowship, what you would call a party in crows is a murder.
Correct.
Because it's a group of crows.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. But yeah, no, that looks really neat. And the thing about it is, like, I myself have always, I've wondered what, like, a sort of modernist PBTA-inspired dungeon crawler would look like. And obviously, like, Dungeon World is not that, even though it's called Dungeon World. So I've always wondered what, like, a modernist version that, because again, and James Introcaso has mentioned this many times, but the power roll in Draw Steel is derived from the PBTA role. So it is PBTA inspired.
So very important question. Do you want ice cream before they close?
No, I'm good.
Oh, yes, you do.
I'm good.
I'm gonna go get some.
I'm good. Go get ice cream.
Guys, you guys want to eat some ice cream?
I don't need ice cream. I'm good.
It's good ice cream.
It is good ice cream, but I'm good. Have I seen Trophy Dark or Trophy Gold? No, but they've been on my list. So I will see what happens here. Tundalist says, Crows sounds like Trespasser. I wonder if I'll be listed as an influence. I don't think MCDM lists people for influence.
Yes, he does.
Does he?
Yeah, he lists a whole. In the beginning of Draw Steel, he's got a whole list of influences. Yeah.
Well, but yes, Tunnelist. I will say that Trespasser takes the 4E tactical element. I don't know how tactical. Because the big difference, Tunnelist, no, like you said, it's inspiration. James Picasso said, fighting is going to be a no-no in Crows. Like, you're going to want to avoid fights.
Oh.
Like, they're dangerous. They don't give you any, because it's straight up XP treasure for XP.
Oh, okay.
And so he's like, this is a game where you're trying to get in, get them treasure, and get out. If you can avoid things, so much the better. So, and I know one of the things that Tundalus is big about is he goes, OSR has that combat is a failure state, and Tundalus says, I think that's bullshit because combat is fun. And I think a lot of people do agree with that. But from where they're at in their design, Crows seems to be like, no, like you're trying not to get in fights.
What will you do if you're not doing combat? Because all games are based on conflict. So what is the conflict in Crows?
Avoiding traps, monsters, and probably maintaining your resources.
That's not conflict.
Man versus its environment.
All games are based on
man versus the environment. The environment is the dungeon.
Okay. No, I'm just saying that is the heart of all games.
Yeah.
So
Edward wants to know what kind of flavor you're going to get.
Well, they had weird flavors. Last night I just got vanilla, and it was good.
I got the Superman, but it was the legally distinct Superman.
Yeah,
because it was called like Superhero Rainbow.
Yeah, it had raspberry, and I don't like raspberry, so but it looked good except for the raspberry.
Let's see here. KC says gold for XP, dungeons, combat is war, but also no miss and PBTA core mechanic. Could be really good, or it could be really terrible. We'll find out. But Steven, there are only so many nouns. We will run out of them eventually for naming.
That is not true because I work in pharma, and let me tell you, they never run out of words.
Right. Talk to your doctor about Combaticore. It's my new combative game.
So actually,
side effects may include death, erectile dysfunction, and stroke.
So yeah, I've actually been in those meetings where they come up with the names of those drugs, and it's a very rigorous process where they have to come up with the name that's unique enough but easy to spell, but then they have to check every country to make sure that it doesn't mean something weird in another language. It's actually incredibly complex. Coming up with a name is like unbelievably hard.
It took me 4.5 seconds when I came up with my name. I gave it literally no thought.
Well, I believe it. And for Roll for Combat, mine was I had to come up with the name that the URL was not taken, and that's the other thing.
Whereas I just wouldn't have a website. We got, let's see here. Boothby says Crows equals Shadow Dark plus Torchbearer. Yeah, maybe. Because one of the things, I've had this idea for like 10 years, and I've even played around with it. I just could never figure out a good way to get to a good play pattern. But I wanted to create, because they made one, but it wasn't very good, and I didn't like it. But there was a game for Blades in the Dark that was called Blades Against Darkness, and I didn't really like it that much. It wasn't what I wanted, and so I wanted to make a game instead of Blades in the Dark. I wanted to do a game called Torches in the Dark, and it was going to be Torchbearer plus Blades in the Dark.
Oh wait, I got one here. Oh, that's not nice. So actually, raspberry's okay. The problem is that it had other weird. I don't know. I didn't like it with everything else, and raspberry can be overpowering.
Got it. And I love raspberry.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Evan? How are we liking GaryCon? It is a breath of fresh air, mostly emanating from older white men. But
older white men, and boy, do they drink here.
Oh yeah. So.
Oh my God.
You know what? That is a great point. Most of the conventions are pretty strict about open containers. Here, the whole convention is inside of this lodge in Wisconsin. So not only are there numerous bars, and not just like a bar in the main area. There's like these little like pocket bars throughout. But wait, they walk around with carts.
Right.
Like while you're at your gaming table, a cart will come up and they'll be like, do you want candy bar, a Yingling, and you can just order beers like you're in Vegas right off the cart. You don't even have to get up, and everybody's walking around with glasses of wine and open bottles.
When I went to the vendor hall, right in the front of the vendor hall was a woman with a cart, and selling beer, and everyone's getting. So people are walking around with open beers in the vendor hall. It's like it's like New Orleans for gaming.
It's a little weird. I will say that. So let's see here. Oh, we got a tip from Jackal Torn Moons. What is up, Jackal? Jackal says, cheers to the best goddamn TTRPG streamer out there. Well, Jackal, cheers to you, my friend. Oh, Jackal, I did talk to the Hackmaster crew. I told them about how I want to do a Hackmaster playthrough, and I'm hoping we might be able to get some sneak previews.
Was he here?
Jolly?
Yeah, Jolly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Dave
Jolly.
Kenzer and Jolly are here.
I'm like the biggest Knights of
dinner tables.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a brand new hardback anthology of like the first 50 or something issues.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I've been a subscriber since like issue 5 or something insane.
But because the new thing coming out is not a 6th edition. I asked them about that. It is basically a 5.5, but I did talk to him about it, and I showed them our video where I said, where it's called "The Greatest Game Ever," the fifth edition of the world's greatest RPG, and of course I'm talking about Hackmaster 5th edition, and they thought that was hilarious, and so, by the way, a classic example of Derek. All these game companies, I show them, they're like, whoa, you did that for us? Wow, this got a lot of views. Like, why aren't you working with us? Why aren't you contacting us?
Well, I know. He comes here, and he's showing everyone all the work he does for them for free. And they're angry because they're like, dude, why didn't you tell us?
Right. Well, that's like Darrington.
Well, you did that to me, and the only reason I was able to find you is because I saw my sales, and I sleuthed you out.
Right, you had to find me, then you had to join my Patreon just so you could message me and be like, hey, thanks.
Yeah, but at least I did that. And the rest is history.
Yeah, so Open World Attic, where we are at is in a green alcove, and so the light is bouncing off of these walls and is making us very green. I probably...
Actually, you can probably get rid of a mat or something. I'm going to be right back. I'm gonna go get some ice cream.
Ooh, there we go. Look at us. We're red now. Oh, that's terrible. All right, there we go. I'm just messing around with the white balance here a little bit. Anyways, he went to go get some ice cream. No, I don't think it's a OBS setting. All right. Oh, I messed around with my OBSBot settings, so maybe that'll help. Again, it's always a crazy mixture. So do I. I have all the original Hackmaster. I have from 4th edition, the joke version, the joke edition, and I have all the stuff from Hackmaster 5th edition. I have the Hacklopedia of Beasts, the Hackmaster's Player's Guide, the Hackmaster Game Master Guide. I have a number of modules and stuff like that. Oh, yes. So I did. Did I break the tie between Dolmenwood and Ironsworn yet? Yes, I did. And the way I broke it is I went to, I got like a video, I think, of a couple of them. I went to 5 designers in the vendor hall. I went to Matt Finch. I went to Michael Putlak from Arcane Studios. I went to Jolly Blackburn from Kenzerco, and I asked them, okay, do you guys know these 2 games, Ironsworn and Dolmenwood, and you have to break the tie. And the winner, 4-1, was Dolmenwood. So Dolmenwood was the winner over Ironsworn. So I haven't announced that yet on the Discord, but that is what happened here. 15 Insight says, thank you, in support of Derek. I'm making a game that no one will buy. Yes, correct. That is correct. Although, I was talking a little bit with the Arcane Library folks, with, Kelsey and her team, about, how I had this idea for a couple of things for Shadow Dark, and they actually said that they actually think a Mega Dungeon would be pretty cool, but they admit it would be a shitload of work. So very, 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 very cool. No, everybody was like, look, Sean Tompkin is amazing, and in many ways, Iron, Dolmenwood's great, but, Ironsworn kind of rewrote the game. Solo gaming, I think, solo and duo gaming, I think, is like the future of TTRPG. I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm going to be running Conquest of Moria here on the stream. Those Moria solo rules were written by Sean Tompkins, so it'll be freaking awesome. So, I mean, while I appreciate the Dolmenwood one, and I bow to the results, and I do think it's a really great game, and I think it is a great example of building a cohesive game and campaign setting that sort of tie into one another without being strictly one-to-one mapping, while also creating a really great hex crawl setting. I think everything about everything. I mean, Dolmenwood, the system, it's OSC. It's got some of the warts and problems that I think old school games sometimes have. But I have almost nothing bad to say about Dolmenwood, the forest, the dark fantasy setting, the hex crawl, the setting, the keyed locations. I think that is just absolutely fantastic. However, Ironsworn, I mean, yeah, there were solo games before Ironsworn and Starforged, but I feel like that really exploded the solo game market, in a way that nothing had ever really done before. Yeah, I agree, Casey. Casey, by the way, said that Sean is writing like half of the solo rules for all these Kickstarters. They just tap him to write the rules, and he goes, okay. I mean, he's the expert. Well, the thing about Shadow Dark, and this is the thing too, like that I think is important is that like the thing that I think is important to realize about Shadow Dark that it actually kind of disappoints me is that I feel like a lot of people are playing it in a very short fashion. I feel like people are playing it in a very abbreviated fashion. I feel like people are playing, Tunnelist is here. He knows I don't like funnels. I feel like a lot of people are playing funnels, which is already problematic, but they're playing funnels and they end up with a character, and then that's the whole session. All right, that's it. Move to the next session, move to the next game. And they don't okay, fine, why did you even go through that funnel part? And I don't think that just because your game is old school means that your game has to be, throw your character into a wood chipper. And part of the allure of the Mega Dungeon is this idea of long-term progress, of sticking with your characters for a while, which I think is really, really cool. Big Die Energy with a $5 tip. I really appreciate that. No message, just $5. Big Die Energy, thank you so much. I don't care about my character's story, but I don't want to just like, for example, I've said this before. I don't like roguelikes. I think roguelikes are very boring to me. I hate the idea of just constantly pushing reset on my character. When I say I don't care about my character, what I mean is my character is a vessel to tell a story. If my character constantly is dying all the time, what kind of story is that? It's not a good one, it's not a deep one, it's not a long one. So that's where I'm kind of at with that. Because it's interesting that you say that, Tundalus, because something that James Intricasso said in that very short Crows trailer is that death for your characters is going to be fairly common in a certain sense. But a big part of the game, which again I think is going to be very unpopular with a lot of people, is this idea that character turnover might be higher than you might otherwise expect. But a big part of the game is this idea that, but the town goes on, right? That like your characters go on these expeditions and you sort of upgrade the town, right? The base management. And, again, elements of Trespasser sticking out here for sure. And I think that does mitigate that cost a lot. But I do think that people, generally speaking, hate it. I don't know, people are so weird. Like, they either want their character to live forever, or they want their character to die like that session, funny fun. It's like a funnel. I find that like anything in between, people find very unappealing, which is very weird. Hey, Adam, thank you so much. Adam with a super chat. In 3 weeks, I'm going to be running BX Dolmenwood as a 2-ish shot session for some friends who have never played a TTRPG. Any advice? Well, as a 2-shot, you have a little bit more time to play. I would say that what you really need to focus on is give them a strong incentive and goal, and let them figure out a way that they want to attack it, right? Don't give them a railroad. Don't give them nothing. Make sure that their character has maybe one primary goal and maybe a secondary goal or two secondary goals, and then let them attack the problem. How do they want to approach the problem? And let them make decisions, and let them try to, as much as you can, see the consequences of those decisions. So if they mess with one group or one faction, then maybe in the second session, show the repercussions of that impact. Let them feel how the world responds to their actions or their lack of actions. How do their successes and their failures affect the world both positively and negatively? I think that's a lot of the fun of that faction-based sandbox play. And if they like that, then they're going to like that the most. Hey, we got a $10 super chat from Tunnelis. Thank you, Tunnelis. Well, no, I mean, I respect I respect you as a game designer, that's for sure. And I love what you've done with the structure of old school gaming and in attempting to modernize it. And, I do think that there is a very strong element there that, quite frankly, that, I think MCDM is kind of realizing, hey, this is something that not a lot of people have done before. So in some ways, I do think you're, on the ground floor of that. And I really tip my hat to you. And I respect what you say about, about funnels and death. And I know it's something you care about greatly. It's something, obviously, I don't particularly like. So it's important that I try to understand your viewpoint. So Mark Clora is talking about Wicked Ones, Heartbreak, which is on our first look list eventually. I wonder if Steven just gave up. The monstrous PCs die very easily in basically every raid, but the dungeon persists. The book is clear that the dungeon is what matters. There's even an element of this in Blaze in the Dark, which again, I don't think a lot of people really focus on. But in Blaze in the Dark, there's kind of this idea that like your scoundrel isn't as important as the whole crew. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't really lean into that much. Like even in the core Blaze in the Dark rule, there's a whole spiel about how you can end up sending your PC to jail for maybe, or prison for, a number of sessions, maybe even most of the campaign, because some shit went really bad. And a lot of people are like, including me, by the way, I've never used those rules. And I know a lot of people have never used the prison rules from Blades in the Dark. And so it's very interesting that like there's this concept of this third-party entity, right? The ship, the crew, the village, the town. And it's almost like that's the party's entity. It's not about your individual character. It's about this communal, amalgamation that you are helping to improve and build. And quite frankly, I love that idea for mega games. A lot of people have talked and said, Derek, when are you going to, steal Trespassers, bastion building rules and stronghold building rules, I can't remember exactly what they're called, and start to incorporate stuff like that into like, your mega games. And I don't think that they're wrong. I think that if we can increase turnover in our, hey, come on through, whatever. Yeah, go for it, take it, it's totally fine. You won't even be in the shot, so you're good. People coming up here to take photos, and we're just hanging out. So yeah, I think that this idea like, hey, my PC may have died, or maybe even retired, or went to prison, but the efforts that they made, because it is a little depressing in most D&D games when your character dies, you kind of just restart. And whether you restart from literally nothing and start over at first level as you do in old school games, or if you just make a new character who is the same level and has the same stuff, it almost feels like, well, nothing really changed. And so I like the idea that your character dies, but they left their mark on the game. And I think that's really cool. There's a whole mechanic rules in Blaze in the Dark there's even a turf map. Yeah, there's a turf map for Iron Hook, I think is what the name of the prison is. It's Iron Hook Prison. Here, you can hold the microphone then.
Superman! What were you talking about?
Blaze in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark, boring. So let's talk about something much more interesting. Let's talk about how Derek, who was complaining because it was a long time to get here. It was a long trip, long day. We got to Chicago. It was midnight. They ran out of cars. It was freezing. Then we had to drive here. It was another hour or so. And he was like, oh, my God, I don't know. I don't know if it was worth the effort. And then he's here, and I see nerdgasms left and right. Derek is exploding in every way that a man can explode. Let me tell you, it was a little scary, a little inappropriate.
Have you been drinking?
I've been drinking. No, I've not. Although last night we were drinking just a little bit, not compared to other people. But I think you're coming back. It's great fun, and we've actually had some pretty good food once you leave the grounds.
Yeah, the food here not so great. It's Midwestern con fare, but we were luckily like 5 minutes away. We have a rental car, so it's pretty good that we can just get out. But yeah, Mark Clore, that's a great point. The Simone, that reminds you of Delicious in Dungeon, right? That the ecosystem of the dungeon and its complexities are sort of more important than the characters. Hey, look at that. Y'all should grab Pequod's Pizza in Chicago. My buddy said I should get Pequod's. The thing is, we actually have to figure out our way to get home because my flight's before yours and in Midway. So I don't know if I'm going to have to take my own car and try to...
We should be able to drop you off.
If you can.
My flight's not till 8:30.
Right. So, but we'll have to, pack up the booth and jet out of here so that we can get back to there. Well, KC, it was quite the journey. So I wanted to fly direct. So I had to fly to Chicago. I couldn't fly to Milwaukee. So I flew to Chicago. I arrived 4 or 5 hours before Steven was scheduled to arrive. So then I took the L train, the metro, into downtown Chicago so I could switch over to the Blue Line so I could take that to O'Hare. However, I still had 3 hours to kill. So I went to Bavette Steakhouse, which is my favorite steakhouse from Vegas, and their home restaurant, their flagship restaurant is here in Chicago. And so then I went to there, got a steak, it was good. Then I hopped on the Blue Line, and then I went up to O'Hare. Well, on the way there, I learned that your flight was delayed. So then it was okay, I'm going to be waiting at O'Hare for a while. So I went over to the O'Hare Airport's Hilton, hung out in their lobby for another 2 or 3 hours, got some work done. And then finally you arrived, but by that time your car rental place was closed. So, yeah. Ooh, deep dish plus Detroit style. Now that I love. I love Detroit style pizza. Very good. I also like deep dish pizza. I know some people don't, but...
Well, I like good. Actually, there is a lot of bad deep dish pizza, but all the traditional Chicago style deep dish is very, very good.
Adam, I think I was a little curious about when introducing players via OSR, should I keep that original lethality? Should I house rule death a little bit so the players feel more heroic? So this is the guy talking about playing a 2-shot of Dolmenwood. I will say this, Adam. I wouldn't fudge, but I would make sure that if players do die, that they don't die capriciously and they don't die to gotchas. Don't just be oh, you're walking through the woods and, oh, you fell in a hole and you're dead. That is going to ruin people's times. Now, there's a certain weird, sicko, demented mentality people that like that. But for the most part, when people have zero or little agency in their character's death, I find it to be very, very unsatisfying. Now, I'm going to tell you some stuff that may ruffle some feathers. I've run a lot of BX D&D. Now, I use house rules. And the source of these house rules is they might have been Gary Gygax or something, but, well, no, let me rephrase that. I use AD&D's hit dice for BX D&D. So in BX D&D, fighters have D8 hit points, clerics have D6, thieves have D4s, magic users have D4s. In AD&D, magic users have D4s, thieves have D4s, clerics have D8s, fighters have D10s. So when I play BX D&D, of course, is OSE, which of course is Dolmenwood. I give the players more, and I think that's true in Dolmenwood. I think fighters have D10s. But a couple of things. Number one, for that first hit point roll, I make it basically a D10 would be a D5 plus 5. Okay, a D4 would be a D2 plus 2. A cleric's D8 would be a D4 plus 4. In other words, I make sure that it's between 5 and 8 or between 6 and 10. Secondly, I do not, I use a lot of kobolds and goblins. I do not use the standard damage rules for weapon by weapon. So my orcs and goblins and kobolds, feel free to come on through. Like my kobolds, when I play BX D&D, they do D2 damage. They do D2. Goblins will do D3. And the reason is because I want you to get that tension of watching your 7 hit points tick down to 6, and then tick down to 4, and then tick down to 2, and then maybe the next hit kills you, or maybe it doesn't. A lot of times in BX D&D, at first level especially, if you get hit once, you only have 4 or 5 hit points, they rolling D8 for damage, you're just dead. I find that to be very anticlimactic, and I don't feel like it lets me suck the marrow out of the experience as much as I want to. So I have always run the piddly little weak little tiny creatures, which I tend to use at level 1, goblins, kobolds, giant rats. Giant rats in my game usually do 1 point of damage. I'm just rolling to see if they do 1 point of damage. I rolled a hit, every hit, a point of damage. And I do that because I want you to feel that kind of nickel and diming of your hit points, even from level 1.
They're minions.
Yeah, they're minions. I treat them like minions, yeah. Nimble says, I like that tension of seeing it tick down. There you go. So yeah, like, it's cool and all, and obviously I like that in higher level of D&D, but at first level D&D, I feel like the whole point is that attrition style of game, and when you only have 4 or 5 hit points, and the monsters do D8 points of damage, you get hit once, there's a 50-50 chance that you just die on the spot. And since you just die at 0 hit points, there's no like, oh, am I gonna die? Will I be able to, like, you kind of shortcut that. You just go straight to the climax with no foreplay. And I like the foreplay, so I do that as well. Giordano's is okay. I mean, it's kind of a chain. I mean, there's a Giordano's where I live. It's okay. I mean, I've had it before.
I don't know. I did go to the Pizzeria Uno, the original in Chicago. It was excellent. I mean, I don't know what the chains were like, but that one was really good.
Adam says, this is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. I'm going to use one of the pre-made adventures, Winter's Daughter, but I just wanted to ask the experts on avoiding some of those feels bad moments. Well, again, I mean, part of playing old school games is a little bit of those feels bad moments, but I think if you try to foreshadow, if you try to communicate, if you try to avoid gotchas, if you try to give the players a lot of choice in their decisions, at the end of the day, if someone made a bunch of questionable, risky, or foolish decisions and it ends up getting their character killed, they should be fine with that. And if they're not, they're probably either A, a baby, or 2, that it's just not the game that they should be playing. The problem, I will say this about auto hits. The problem is that, now to be fair, in Nimble, if they roll a 1, it is a miss. So, calling Nimble an auto hit game is technically a misnomer because you do miss on a 1. But I think what it does miss out on is that really fun tension of being down to your last few hit points, and you don't know if the next hit is going to kill you. When you play an auto hit game, once you get down to a certain point of hit points, it's kind of deterministic. You know that the next hit, there is no question of whether you're not going to get hit and whether you're going to take damage. You are going to take damage, and it is going to kill you. And it can kind of lead to this weird sort of, fatalism. I am not familiar. Now, Anate says that it does have an optional rule for survive for a few rounds of 0 hit points. I would definitely invoke those rules. Especially if you're playing with a more modern audience or maybe even a newer audience and you want to soften the blow a little bit, I think that those rules are very cool, Yes, I do think that would be really cool, Woodland Fellowship, and we should talk about that in a future stream. And I'm going to write that down in my GaryCon list of inspirations and ideas, even though it just came from you and it came from this stream, because I think that has a lot of interesting application. And I think that's really cool. Panic says, Detroit greater than Chicago, Jets for the win. 100% agree with you. I fucking love Jets. It's like 5,000 calories per slice, but God help me, it is fucking delicious. I love that crispy fried crust. I love it.
I do have a text. Jack Packer.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so we convinced Jack today, Jack Packard from Red Letter Media, friend of the show, to pick up a Fable Ultima. and and then Steven got him into a press start. Press start. We're all Fabulous Ultimate fans here, and he loved it.
He said he wants to run it for second wins, so that means he's going to record it and do live streams of it. So there you go.
That's a big up. What is the best thing that I've seen today at GaryCon? Great question. For me, I went to a seminar that was led by Kelsey Dion and a number of her Arcane Library team, and they were talking about designing adventures for Shadow Dark. And number one, it was educational. It really kind of provided perspective, but it also, for good or for bad, and probably for bad because these are professionals who know what they're doing and are very fucking successful at what they do. They designed adventures completely differently than I designed adventures. All of them were describing how, they get a vibe. They basically, in our language, in KOLC language, they all design their adventures top down. They start with a cool idea, or they write down 5 cool, visions. I'm imagining a temple with living tentacle pillars. I mean, they didn't say this, but I'm just postulating off my head. All right, imagining an ancient temple to some sort of dark sea god, and instead of pillars holding it up, it's the writhing tentacles of a kraken. Okay? That's how they start. And then they back upwards, and they start designing mechanics and fit it in and all this other stuff. So, I designed it completely backwards from that.
I mean, so when I did Jewel the Indigo Isle, I wrote the entire script from beginning to end, and it ended up being 66 pages long of just the whole adventure, outlining everything. I mean, also keep in mind, see, it's a little different because I have people who are writing the adventure, so you need an outline, and I wanted to make sure that part 1, part 2, and part 3 actually connected to each other, so I literally had to, hey, Tiger, you want to come by? You want to do a little interview? Come on in. We're doing a live stream. Look at this. Hey, we got Tiger Wizard. Tell us about your new Kickstarter, man.
Oh, okay. Wow, put me on the spot. I was just on my way from the bathroom to the bar. Tavers, it's the official Meow Wolf role-playing game. It's on Kickstarter right now. It's fully funded. We've got a whole bunch of really cool stretch goals that have just been announced. It's an immersive, collaborative storytelling game set in the mini worlds of Meow Wolf.
How much fun was that video to make? You have the craziest videos for that thing.
Dude, it was a blast. And probably even cooler than that, if I can kind of riff on this for just a second, is while I was there making that video at the house, I was able to run the game for the people that I made the game for, which was so cool. I got to run the Meow Wolf game for a whole bunch of people that work at Meow Wolf creating these worlds. It was amazing. So it felt really good.
Who did those costumes?
So the Meow Wolf team has, you would not believe how much cool stuff they have in their warehouse. Those are costumes that they use. They do these big parties, sort of like every year they have these big sort of, they do parades and they have these music jams. And so they just have a whole warehouse of costumes. And I was kind of given the freedom to just jump in and be like, hey, what do you want? And I was like, oh, let's get this crazy denim squid face guy, and let's get this Mama Larva, who we actually put Mama Larva into the book. So yeah.
No, but it was just saying how this place, everyone's here. Everyone. I mean, this is that's what I like about this. I mean, it's the same people that we see at GaryCon.
Adam says, Tiger, we want to see an actual play or a one-shot. The brief on the rules that was released was interesting, but it's so hard to get a grasp on what exquisite corpse means mechanically.
Oh, that's a great point. And let me just say, We're probably not going to see one immediately because there are some things that can't be released until the LA exhibit of Meow Wolf opens, which to me is kind of a bummer, but it's the way that it's going to roll out for this game. But we have been lining up some really killer actual plays for as soon as the LA exhibit opens.
Okay.
It's like a spoiler thing.
All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And the timeline on that?
November is the supposed opening of the LA exhibit. I'm not in control of any of that. Don't hold me to that, anybody. But I think late November, early December, which is around the same time that the Kickstarter will be fulfilling.
See, and that tells you everything you need to know about my audience. Like, they're like, so I was reading through the Quick Start already, and I had a question about Exquisite Corpses. Like, they already know the game.
Yeah. No, that's why I was like, Patrick, you should come here, because the few people here who don't know the game, you can introduce to. But I bet you half your audience, and they definitely looked at the Kickstarter, and probably a third already backed it. I mean, it looks awesome.
Thank you so much if you did. And I can't wait to share some of the actual gameplay. We have some gameplay footage already, and I can't wait to be able to share it because it's cool. It's a fun game. It's completely different than probably anything you've played.
Well, not us.
Maybe not this group of people, but yes, it is definitely very cool. So yeah, awesome, man.
All right, well, thanks for having me inadvertently drop by. Good to see you.
Always be hustling, baby.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. That was Tiger Wizard, who, by the way, thanks to Tiger Wizard, that's the one who hooked us up with Dolmenwood, Land of Eam. So having all that on the show, Bob, we gave away a Dolmenwood set, we gave away a Land of Eam set. So all that was thanks to Tiger Wizard, and of course, go check out his game Tavers, which is set in the Meow Wolf industry, Meow Wolf universe. There we go. Hard to say.
I don't even remember what I was talking about before.
Nah, I don't remember what I want to. But no problem, Adam. I appreciate it. Oh, they were asking about like what was the coolest thing that I saw here, right. And I was talking about how I design games very differently than they design.
I was talking about how I wrote the rules, and I wrote everything ahead of time, and I had to literally do it. But again, we're talking about actual mechanics here because I actually had to write the rules because I had to give it to 3 authors. So you want to make sure the authors, and especially if you're doing a 1 to 10 adventure path, you need them to all connect the connective tissue. Otherwise, you get what a lot of these adventures are, which is
very disjointed.
Yeah, they're disjointed, total messes. So it could work what you're doing. The only problem is you would have to write the whole thing.
Right. Which I probably would be because, it's just me. But, so I design things very bottom up. I sit back and I think, what do I want the play pattern of this experience to be like? What are the emotions? What are the themes, the tone that I want to communicate through the gameplay, through the mechanics, through the challenge ratings, through the percentage of how many encounters are like this versus like that? And then in the end, I kind of apply the theme. And it's not perfect because, like you said, we were talking about this at dinner. We talked about board games, which somebody designs this really great mechanic, and then they kind of just paste the theme on, and it's like, I'll make it ancient Egypt. And so it can be very bad, and it feels like, wow, there's no connection between the mechanics and the theme or the style. And I always say that my favorite Magic the Gathering cards are the ones where the mechanics tell the story. I love that. Those are my favorite Magic the Gathering. It's a very Melvin Vorthos thing for those of you who know those things. And it is something I think about. It's not like I ignore the theme or the aesthetic. It's that I get to that last.
Yeah, I mean, actually, what happens a lot...
Look what Platinus said.
Yeah, well, yeah, he knows who we were talking about. That's exactly what we were talking about.
We were talking about Reiner Knizia at dinner.
Yeah, because that's exactly it. Because he's famous. He comes up with mechanics, and then he adds a theme afterwards. I mean, it's not an unknown thing. But you know what? I also find whenever I play a lot of dice games, especially themed dice games, they have nothing to do with the theme whatsoever. It's just like, oh, cool dice mechanics. It was a Firefly dice game I was playing. I was like, dude, this has nothing to do with Firefly at all.
Correct. Yeah, it's very much the case that you have to be And sometimes if the mechanic is cool enough, you don't care. It can be fun to just interact with a mechanic. I think mechanics get a bad rap in RPGs. I think that, Agile Monk, I got to agree with Agile Monk, which is not unusual here. Mechanics matter. And I think that, Luke Crane likes to say that system is setting, and I tend to agree with that. I think that the kind of mechanic, like if you give me really deep, hyper crunchy mechanics, but then the setting is supposed to be this freewheeling pulp adventure, that's a tonal disconnect to me. If I'm making a pulp action adventure game, I want it to be fast and furious with a push your luck mechanic. I think the mechanics can tell a story, so I think that's really important. We were also talking about the Firefly animated series at dinner as well. So we were also talking about.
I don't know if it's going to come to fruition, but
they're looking for apparently like a company. Like they're like, we have the stories, we have the writing, we have the scripts. They basically just need like a Netflix, an Amazon, a whoever to pick it up. A Fox,
That's
right. The medium is the message. But yes, we're talking about ludonarrative consonants. Exactly, Gundislav, you're correct. So that was the first thing, was that I learned that I made things very differently. Now, Jackal asked, how did they feel about Pirates of Shadowtide? So I did not really get a chance to talk with the Arcane Library people about Shadowtide. However, I did get a chance to talk with a number of people today and yesterday who stopped by the booth, who are Shadow Dark fans. I'm talking about people who are like wearing Shadow Dark shirts, wearing Shadow Dark jerseys. And we were talking about Deathbringer, and I brought up and mentioned my idea for Shadowtide, and specifically the tonal component of Shadowtide, which is this idea of a noble, bright Shadow Dark game. And a lot of them were like, fuck, that sounds great. And one of them even was like, Pirates of Darkwater. I go, yes, Pirates of Darkwater is 100. And he goes, oh my God, I love that show. And I go, yeah, that was awesome. So that was pretty cool that somebody even recognized the main source of inspiration. But it was neat to see that a lot of the Shadow Dark fans were really jamming, number one, on the idea of Deathbringer, and number two, the idea of my game. But again, I pitched them Deathbringer with my, having looked through, the demo rules and the pamphlet, and getting a sense for what I feel the game is trying to be. Because again, things like Fafhrad and the Grey Mouser and Conan and Elric, these are all, I'm very familiar with that genre of stories, sword and sorcery. And I was the first to admit that there's a big difference between Conan the Barbarian and the turnip farmer who goes into the dungeon armed with a mop and a shovel, and it's part of you have 5 characters, and you're like, oh, you have the town drunk, and you've got the turnip farmer, and you've got the lusty bar wench, and those are your characters, and go. No, Conan and I think Deathbringer aren't that. I think you're not a superhero, but you are a mighty thewed barbarian. You are a badass, heroine of epic, proportions. You're not a superhero. You're still going to get killed if you get shot by a bunch of crossbow bolts, but you're not a peasant scum either. Yes, that's true. That turnip farmer didn't just fall off the truck. Well, yes, I know, but I just think that it's cool. I think having cool characters is cool. That's what it comes down to.
We're trying to make sure that people understand Deathbringer, because it is tricky. It's like it's a very crowded market.
Yep.
And that's something Dan and I, Professor Dungeon Master, spoke a lot about, is like how to differentiate this.
Yep.
And you can do it through vibes and art style, which we are obviously doing, because it is definitely getting a reaction, which is what we wanted. And on top of that, mechanics, and that's where we came up with the 3 death system, where you basically die 3 times. And we did that on purpose so that you will be heroic, and that you will actually go and fight, and then you won't be, I don't know how many times I've been in games where people just sit around like hemming and hawing and don't want to get into the battle, and we made it that everyone wants to fight all the time. And if you go down, it's okay, because you will be sort of rewarded until you're not, until you're finally dead.
Yeah, I mean, put another way, it's like Deathbringer. I mean, when you think about Conan, right? When you think about like the classic OSR game, your character's creeping around one flagstone at a time with their 10-foot pole. You're probing every stone. You know, you go to the door and you're like, wait, check for traps. Wait, check the ceiling. Wait, check the keyhole. All right, there might be rock grubs. Don't put your ear to it, because there might be the ear seekers that live in the wood. I read about those once on an online magazine. All right, don't do that. Okay, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a pulley system, and then we're going to connect the rope to the handle, and then we're going to go back over around the corner, and then we're going to slowly open the door from the other side, right? No, Conan the Barbarian kicks in the door.
So in my games, and if you watch me live stream, we can never go more than an hour without combat. And as soon as they did that, they were like, okay, we're going to do this, and then John will be, enough talk. And he literally kicks open the door. And we do it all the time, enough talk, which is right from Conan.
Right, and of course, the problem is that if you do play like a legit old school game, doing that will get your character killed brutally. Like, you will never survive. And so I think what Professor Dungeon Master wants is he wants that old school aesthetic and the lethality, but he also doesn't want your character to be a wuss. And he wants you to be kicking open the doors, and he wants you to be, kicking the door, throw my dagger into the chest of the lead wizard, draw my broadsword, hacking limb from limb.
Yeah.
And
if you ever watch his live streams, he does do live games of Deathbringer. We've done it at a couple cons now. I mean, he brings people from the audience, and he has them. And he always has them describe their kills. So whenever someone dies, he always has them describe how they kill them. Everything's very graphic and very gory. But people love it. And that's, I think, what people kind of miss. That's something I've seen people miss in these TTRPGs, which, by the way, is one of the reasons I think Shadow Dark is so popular, because they're like, wow. I mean, not the death part, but the fun and exciting and, like, thrilling.
Well,
I'm talking about just that part. I'm not talking about it was so much fun, we all TPK'd. Right. Not that part. But the part of, wow, I can't be careful. Like, the game is designed for me to actually it forces you to take action. Right. As opposed to some of these TTRPGs that allow you to be inactive.
Sure, right. Yeah, and I mean, and if you think about old school mechanics, random encounters and all that other stuff was designed to push you forward. And Jackal, that's exactly, by the way, Jackal, what I was going to say is I was like, try to get people to describe an intimate scene. Meanwhile, people will be like, all right, I drop my sword, and it cleaves through his clavicle, and it buries halfway into his chest, and the left part of his body falls off, and I can see his beating heart. I reach into his chest, right through his rib cage. I grab his beating heart. I make sure he sees it before I throw it into the face of it. And people are like, fuck yeah. But meanwhile, if you're like, she flirts with you from across the room, people are like, dude, I'm uncomfortable.
X card.
This is gross. X card. Line and veil. I'm aroused, and I'm not comfortable by this. I'm not comfortable with this. Line and veil. Fade to black. Can't do it. So anyways, it is one of those funny things that is interesting. But girls have cooties. There we go. But I will say that it was pretty cool. I mean, the old school gaming crowd is definitely. I think there's a thirst there for something that is okay. It's not pumpkin spice. Which I thought actually was kind of cool. It's not pumpkin spice. I joked with who was I joking with? Oh, somebody about like running pumpkin spice for them, like at like whenever it comes out. They were like, it might have been Baron DeRop, but
that's funny.
He's like, oh yeah, I mean, somebody, because I was like, I'm sure you saw the advertising. He goes, oh yeah, I'm running it for you. But I think there's something to be said about, okay, great, we don't want pumpkin spice, we don't want Powered by the Apocalypse, but that doesn't mean we want every game to be exactly the same. So I think if we can do variations, and I think if we can expand the scope of what old school means, I think that would be a big win.
I'll tell you what was fascinating, because we're getting better at this, the vibes, because the only thing we have here is one banner, and that's it. that just says Deathbringer, and it's Deathbringer in black and white and a mountain of skulls. And people are like, what's that? And I was like, wow, vibes works, man.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, no offense to the people who are working on it, a lot of people are going to kickstart Deathbringer, and they're not even going to give a shit what the rules are.
I know.
They're going to be kickstarting it because they're like, fuck yeah, art and vibes. And that's it, you know? I mean,
yeah, we're learning that. I mean, it's fascinating, actually, for me.
I mean, Pumpkin Spice was that in reverse, right? Or not in reverse, but Pumpkin Spice was like, look at the vibe, look at the art, and people were like, I'm backing it. Yep. I don't even know anything about the mechanics. I don't even care, honestly. Yeah. And they backed it. So, yeah.
I mean, well, like, because Mark and I, especially with our background with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, like, we work so hard on mechanics and work so hard on the game to make sure it works. And yes, we do put in beautiful art, but at the same time, we are kind of seeing a shift in TTRPGs between Pirate Borg and Aliens and Pumpkin Spice and, you know, even some Shadow Nimble, where vibes is selling in more than mechanics, and we had to kind of learn that for Deathbringer, and it's fascinating. Actually, you know, who's been teaching me or helping me a lot is Luke from Limithron, because he's the one who told me, he's like, Steve, you got to sell vibes. You really got, that's how you got to do it. It's more of a vibe thing.
Now, you know, look, if you're in IT or you're a full stack developer, right? What are you losing your job to? Vibe coding, right? So what are game designers losing their job? What are they losing their Kickstarter millions to? Vibe designing.
You know what? But it's easier said than done too.
No, it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the best for me, the best is like again, Nimble is a great example. Nimble has some incredible mechanics, but it definitely has a vibe.
Oh, yeah.
It promises this sleek experience. It looks sleek, doesn't it? It looks modern and fast, and everything about it just...
The first thing I said, I was like, the design. When I saw that design, it looks like, well, like what D&D should have been, like in a weird way.
I mean, I say this in a good way. It looks like a AAA video game.
Yeah.
Like the presentation of it.
Yeah.
Right? And then it has the mechanics to back it up. So like when you have, you know, when you've got the looks and you've got the
that's the point.
The brains, like that's the best. That's a lethal combo.
Thing that I can't believe with vibes, because Eldamon, they're just looking at the pictures and they buy it, and I'm like, damn.
I have tried for a year and a half to sell people on Eldamon from a mechanics-based perspective. Because my pitch, and you know it, you've heard it, as I said, I don't like Pokemon, I don't like cute things, but I love Eldamon because the rules, the mechanics are so interesting, they're fascinating, they lead to a great strategic and tactical experience. Sales, 4, maybe, in a year and a half, based off of that pitch. But if I go, I'm saying for me, from my pitch. On the other hand, when I pitch it as, it's like Pokemon with D&D. Look at the Elidex. Look, you've got the pet form, then it evolves, then the battle form, and then they're like, and I'm like, as for classes, sure, you could be an Eldamon trainer, just like Ash, or you could bond with the Eldamon, joining with it in spirit and become a bender, just like Aang or Katara. And people are like, bah! They love it.
Give me my money, give me your money. And we sold out.
And then we sell out. So I learned from a pitch perspective to change the way that I pitched the game, because most people are buying it based off of vibes, basically.
Actually, we have a special edition of the...
Nimble says, you did sell me on Eldamon, Derek. Well, you're a designer, so, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, but actually someone came to so we have a special edition of Classic Creatures, and it's the Mimic. And a guy literally walks up. I've had so many people do this. They take the book and they buy it because they like mimics. And I'm like, what's in it? I'm like, oh, you can play Monster? Like, yeah. I want the book.
A girl bought Fairy Dragons today because she flipped open the page and she saw a picture of the Alicorn dragon. And she said, I'm getting it.
Yeah, I know.
She said, I'm getting it.
Yeah, seriously, I'm not right. It's a unicorn dragon. Like, unicorn dragon? Here's my money. So, I tell you, we're learning quite a bit here.
What's up? By the way, Boothby says, I 100% agree with Derek on Eldamon, which I think he means, I don't like Pokemon, I don't like cute things, but the mechanics are great. I also gave Steven $1 today, which indicates...
You saw Legends. You saw Legends?
Yeah, Legends looks really great.
It's going to be good.
Platinum says, make a book that has special ink that evolves and turns it into a stronger book. Again, I mean, the way that Eldamon mechanically is designed, I would love to steal in the future because I think it's so good. Yeah, I mean, Simone, you're absolutely TTRPG. I will say that one of my weaknesses as an RPGer, especially as a content creator and a designer, is sometimes forgetting that, yes, aesthetics matter. But I understand that at a primal level because, like, I would never want a Magic the Gathering card to have no art. I would never want a TTRPG to have no art. I understand that I want art. But I also understand that Derek, am never going to put a Magic the Gathering card into my deck just because I like the art. But you know what? A lot of people do.
I was going to say, I hate to say that. I've done that more than once.
And we call those people Commander players. And I don't play Commander, right? So, sometimes I get in my own way of understanding some of the elements of this game, which I think is, to my detriment. I have to learn. I
will say, I never liked the art for Lightning Bolt or Fireball.
Christopher Rush turning over in his grave.
Well, the problem is it was just, at the time, it was so simple compared to some of the absolute, like Wrath of God. Oh my God, the art on that is beautiful. I mean, there's some amazing art in some of those original cards. So, I mean, Shiva Dragon, I mean, there's a reason why that's
all right, can I counter?
Sure.
Lightning Bolt is
it's one of my favorite spells.
Lightning Bolt is a single red mana.
Yep.
It's called Lightning Bolt, and it has 5 words of text.
Yes.
So maybe the art should be simple because it is a very simple effect. Wrath of God is an expensive card that changes the entire fabric of the game. So in a certain sense, maybe it deserves a more impressive art piece.
Yeah, you're probably right, and I never thought of it that way. But at the time, keep in mind, the works of art, and we're talking about like alpha, beta when it first came out.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful. I mean, some of that art. And we never saw anything like that before. And then I'm like, oh my God. Lightning Bolt. And the problem is I always had them in my decks. Always. So I'd always be like, oh, why can't you be more pretty? Why can't you be like your brothers and sisters?
To be fair, they eventually did do 25 different variations.
No, now there's like 100 different variations. But I'm talking about the OG.
Right. I mean, I guess a good example of that is like, you ever seen art in a book? For like a monster, and you're like, oh my God, this monster looks badass, and you're like, it's CR 4th? It's CR 1/4? What do you mean it's a CR 1/4? Look at that thing. It's got chainsaws for arms, and it's a CR 1/4?
Well, that's bad design. That's miscommunication.
I'm just saying, the classic example of this is the Hylanthropicus lemur, which is from the Dark, I think, or from Legends.
Yeah.
It's a undead spirit of vengeance. It has an insane stat for that time in Magic.
Yeah.
And it's a lemur, which is a painful spirit of the dead. But the art director and the artist thought lemur was a lemur.
Lemur, yeah.
And they made the art as this cute little fuzzy little creature living in a tree. And it's like, at that time in Magic, it was like a 4/5 with like death touch and all this other stuff. And you're like, why is a cute little fuzzy creature this massively powerful, death-bringing card? And it's because they got the name wrong.
All right, I'll tell you. Guys, so everyone in the chat, tell us what your favorite Magic card art is. I'll tell you one of my favorites of OG was the opposite. That you would put in your deck and you can never play it. Leviathan.
Oh, sure.
That art. It's like the big mouth and the little person. And it's so tiny and it feels so massive. And you just want to get the damn thing down. You're like, Leviathan, you are now dead.
10-10 trample.
Yeah.
We had a big tip from Scotty. Thank you, Scotty, for the $25. We missed that. Let me replay that, Scotty.
Need a second screen.
I know. Well, I normally bring a second monitor, but I didn't remember to. Scotty, thank you for that for the cons. We appreciate you. We've been conning it up. Unfortunately, I really appreciate that more than you know, because when I do these cons, usually I can only stream maybe once that week instead of like 3 times. The streams are a little bit more disjointed, a little bit more chaotic, obviously a little bit more wilder. And so it's a little bit harder to stay on topic, stay on focus. And that means that, maybe we don't get as many viewers or the tips don't come as much. And of course, I make a living off of that. So I really appreciate for you guys supporting us for that. But
until Shadowtide.
Until Shadowtide. Or until I figure out a way to start making vlogs.
Making what?
Vlogs. Well, somebody here was like, they were a fan of the show, and they were like, we were talking about like content, and we were talking about ad revenue, and I said, well, the problem is nobody wants to make an ad revenue nobody wants to put an ad on a 4-hour live stream. And they said, well, why don't you make shorter videos? And I said, well, I've tried that before, but I feel wooden, and I don't like making scripts, and I just don't feel like I do that part of the game really well. And he goes, well, why don't you make like vlogs? You know, and like, you know, like, he's like, you got your little camera, you're like, why don't you just talk to it?
Well,
and turn it.
I think you're starting that. I saw you all weekend.
Yeah. Well, yes, and I originally brought it just to make like a little mini movie of like all the sights and sounds and I trip. But like, yeah, like I could flip that thing around and just talk to it while I'm out and about and just be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about.
I will say a lot of the YouTubers I watch do that.
By the way, you know what I would call that? Vibing.
True. Actually, no, but I do. A lot of my YouTubers that I watch are literally people walking in the park, like you do, and just recording themselves talking, and they edit it, and then they put it out, and that's it. Yeah. And they make a lot of money.
True. So Evan says some 10 or 15-minute vlogs would be great. You should do that.
Actually, Mark Rosewater's podcast.
Yes, that's a great example.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, drive to work.
Him driving to work, talking, and then when he gets to work, it's done. You should do that with your walks, so you know when it starts and you know when it ends.
Yeah. No, and so it's still kind of off the cuff, you know, but it's not quite so it's not quite so long.
I mean, you're forced to stop because your walk will stop.
Correct. Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does require a little bit more work and a little bit more. Now, some people pointed out, but editing, yes, money-wise, it's a loser for YouTube. But if I can make shorter videos, it might allow me to actually go to a game company and say, hey, I get 5,000 or 6,000 views on this video. Hey, you want to throw me a couple $100, and I will shout out your game in the middle of it.
You'll definitely get it.
Right. Thank you for the super chat. Vibes of Last Call. That's the name of it.
Get the URL. Hurry.
You got the URL. Look at that. Simone says, I've already been subtly infecting my beverage choices. Well, I think I said that here on the stream today, but we went around to all these designer all these products, and they're like, oh, thank you so much for everything you do for us. We give you no money and you do it for free. And Darrington Press was yelling at us because we bought those Daggerheart games to give away, and they're like, why didn't you just tell us? We would have given them to you so that you could just give them away. And at that time,
we also do write them, and they're not great at writing back.
They are not great at writing back. You hear that, Darrington Spencer? If you're watching this, you guys need to be better at answering your emails. But you probably already know that.
Spencer, definitely. You got to. Spencer, you're great. But those emails, I know you're busy counting your money, but seriously, get back to us.
We love Darrington Press.
No, we do. Oh my God, they're great. That was a good party too.
It was a great party. So everyone's saying, look, like, short video equals 2 hours. Oh, a 15-minute vlog converted to Derek time is like an hour and a half. No, well, that's the whole point. I have to try something different,
Well, you know what you do? We'll take it and we'll put it on 4 times speed.
Right.
So then it just starts at 4 times speed.
Right. And then if you double it on YouTube, it's 8 times.
Oh, yeah. And then, because I watch almost everything at 2, and you watch it 2.5 times speed. So it's going to be watching at 10 times speed. It's like warp speed.
Yes, exactly. I see somebody's rocking, looks like a G Master lens. Looks like a Sony, maybe a Sony A7. It could be a Sony A7. Is it a Sony A7? Oh, A6400. Oh, nice. He's got his A75. All right. Yeah, of course. We had somebody rocking a very nice camera up here, and we love to see it. It's one of those situations where the lens is more than the body.
Yeah. This is for a camera.
Yeah. But it's all good. So we got 2 days left. We're probably going to run out of some more stuff tomorrow at the hall.
Probably. We're almost out of a couple dragon books, I think.
Fairy Dragons is
Fairy is like 1, or Leslie's down to 1,
the only ones that really haven't sold are like Battle and Misfits.
Yeah, Battle is strange. I would think Battle, like, you either love Battle or you don't. I don't know, maybe there's too many, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean...
The data here, it always confuses me. But it'll be interesting. I think I have a couple seminars that I bought tickets for. Oh, not bought. They're free, but
What are you doing?
I'd have to check my app. Here, take that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is I am going to, there's an auction tomorrow. The auction is really good. It's from like 3 to 5, and they have, I've been to a lot of the auctions. I go to like the Gen Con auction, the Page auction. Page auction was really good. Gen Con auction is long. The problem with Gen Con auction is like anyone can put stuff in the Gen Con auction, so you get a lot of garbage because people are just getting rid of their stuff.
Right.
So it's a lot of like, But this is curated, and everything on this auction is really good. And there's a couple of like unbelievable, a lot of like private art, pieces of art, a lot of original D&D art that's auctioned, manuscripts. There's things like from Gary's collection, like it's unbelievable. So I did it last year, so I'm going to definitely go this year. So Eldamon 3 when? So for those who don't know, Eldamon Legends kicks off on Tuesday. That's when the Kickstarter starts. So go to eldamon.com or Eldamon Legends, put down $1. And then Eldamon 3, I'll be honest, Eldamon so far has been our biggest pre-launch sign-up ever for any Kickstarter I've ever done. So it's looking pretty good. And we will be doing Eldamon 3 next year. We already have it all outlined, and I'm already going to spoil it, but we are going to have at least one new class. And Mark has thought it all out. He's been thinking about it for 3 years. So it's pretty awesome. So we're going to at least have one more new class. And I actually think I have the title already. I think it's going to be Eldamon Space and Time, because those are the 2 new ones. Yeah, that's 2 of the new ones. So there we go.
Cool. And maybe a Starfinder tie-in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
No, I have at 11. I have the Shadow Dark RPG reverse Q&A.
Oh, I want to go to that.
And then at noon, I have State of the OSR presented by the Ship of the Dead podcast.
Oh my God, I want to go to both of those.
And that's being run by the Limithron people.
Well, that's their podcast.
I know. So I'm trying to do market research.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my finger on the pulse.
We can just talk to Kelsey. Oh, that's right. We can't because she's nowhere to be found.
She's a very busy bee.
No kidding.
She's a very busy.
I can't find
she's
her.
the queen of GaryCon.
Well, the queen of GaryCon has been missing.
Well,
actually, I spoke to many people who have not seen her.
I know.
I even spoke to Baron, and Baron didn't see her.
Yeah, but I mean, this is home for her.
Well, no, actually, that's what happened. So she's from here. So I was talking to Baron. I didn't run into them, and he said she's mostly been with her family.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I love Kelsey. She's great. We can always hang out with her at Gen Con. Eldamon Pal World Edition, where you force them to labor in a weapons factory. Oh, there you go. There's Eldamon Forced Labor. That'll be the new one.
Well, that's Pal World, because that's what
That's
Pal
what I said. I said Eldamon Pal World.
I know. Yeah.
There you go. Eldamon plus Deathbringer equals Pal World.
I will say, if you like Eldamon, next week there's a lot of surprises, because we're going all in. So of all the cons we've been to, and I looked at the data, sometimes Classic Creatures is one of our best sellers, or second best sellers. Sometimes it's Battles You Bestiary, sometimes it's Dragons. But number one of every con has been Eldamon, by far. It's always Eldamon. So I think we did tap into something, and now people see it. I think they're understanding it, and this isn't a surprise, but we are putting out card deck that has the ability for you to keep track of your powers. So it's actually dry erase, so you can actually write on them. And also on the other side is the Elder decks. So we're coming out with that. We're coming out with minis. We're coming out with some cool battle maps. Let's just say I have a whole bunch of new logos that are going to be revealed next week. So I'll leave it at that.
And we're wrapping up here, but Sorrel decided to drop us a nice $20 super chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Sorrel.
Oh, there we go. So the RPG Superstar contest, it's not RPG Superstar anymore, it's Monster Master. We don't have the license for RPG Superstar anymore, which is fine. So Monster Master, yes, actually if you go to rfcmonstermaster.com, or you go to RPG Superstar, it's already been announced. It is Battles You Bestiary Primal Rage. Is that it? Yeah, I think it's What's that? Yeah, Primal Rage. And it's going to basically be kind of like dinosaurs, primal power, earth power, primal stuff. And we're going to start it pretty soon.
So no mechanical maitre d's in primal power.
Well, they could be cavemen maitre d's.
Sorrel, thank you for this $20 super chat. I've been to many cons for books. I like Penguin Con. I've gotten Brandon Sanderson's autographs on his books and a Robert Jordan Wheel of Time signed book plate. What's a good to go to for a first-time TTRPG experience? So I would say, now for TTRPG experience, first time. Okay, the answer is not Gen Con.
No.
Absolutely not Gen Con.
No.
Well, we were talking about this before today. I would say, it depends where you live, Sorrel. You don't have to say that, but I would say Gamehole Con.
Well, we haven't been to it, though, but supposedly it's great.
I've not been to it, but it's supposedly really, really great. Page.
I was about to say, Page is really good.
That's Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo.
It's very relaxed, it's very easy, and it is almost all TTRPGs.
Right. These are very TTRPG-focused cons. Origins Game Fair in Columbus. Now, Origins Game Fair is a mix of kind of like war gaming and board gaming. RPGs aren't the primary focus. That's not to say that they're not there. They are. But like at Gamehole Con and especially at Page, it's a very RPG-focused con. I was actually talking with the one of the co-owners of Page today, and he was talking about how he wants this really, really RPG-focused con. And the other one, which is pretty RPG-focused but small, is North Texas Con.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like PAX is mostly video games and board games.
PAX East is heavy video games. PAX Unplugged, it actually used to be a mixture. It used to be half TTRPGs, half board games. I'd say it's like 80 to 90% board games and like 10% TTRPGs. I mean, they're still there, but it's although Limithron had a huge, they're still there. But
it's still there, but it's not the quite.
Yeah.
So you're from Michigan, Sorrel. So I would say Gamehole Con, which is in Wisconsin, or I would say Origins, which is in Columbus.
Yeah, definitely go to Origins.
Ohio.
Yeah, Origins is easy to go to, and there's a ton of TTRPGs at Origins. A ton. I mean, just the Shadow Dark alone, she was running over 100 games. So
now, Origins is not a great convention if you want to see the most amazing booths and you want to see every exhibitor under the sun and you want to see all the celebrities. Origins is a salt of the earth convention where, because like it's only like a month or 6 weeks before Gen Con, so a lot of the big players don't even go, or if they do go, it's like a very token presence, or they're saving their big announcements and their big guns for Gen Con. So yeah, Steven, when are you making the definitely not Dungeon Crawler Carl PF2E supplement?
Oh my God! I will tell you the one thing that is fascinating because of Dungeon Crawler Carl. So one of the classes, one of the races that you can play in Classic Creatures is a dungeon. And we used to have to explain, you can play a dungeon, like a lit RPG. And people would be like, what? And now I'm like, you can play a dungeon. They're like, like Dungeon Classic Car. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I don't have to explain it anymore because it's the most popular book in the world.
Do you think that the fact that Dungeon Crawler Carl will have the same abbreviation as DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics, is going to get really confusing?
I think they don't mind. I mean, I don't think it really matters, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to be very fascinated by that game because, so at Gamma, I don't even think I told you this. I was talking to them. It's going to be released, like the book, by September. Like it's done. The game is done. So it's ready to go, which means they're printing it. They're about to start printing it now.
Well, I saw the cover art treatment. They had it wrapped around a Transformers book.
Yeah, I saw that. I know. It was like they had the book and it was the art. I was like, oh my God! And I opened it up and it's Transformers. I'm like, oh, you suckers!
Yeah, they got us. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it apparently they think it's going to be the biggest RPG Kickstarter of all time. That's what the guy from Renegade was telling me.
Well, I mean, it is about I think it was like 56,000, 57,000.
Well, it would have to beat Cosmere, which did 15 million.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it depends on the tiers. I mean,
they're going to have some outrageous $8,000 cyberpunk teas. By the way, for those of you who don't know, like 2 days ago, Cyberpunk, the card game, released their Kickstarter, and in 2 days it raised $10 million, including selling out of their $8,000 tier. Multiple limited edition $8,000 tiers. It's crazy, which is insane. Yes, Memento Mori says, it already is. I was talking to some folks that were really into DCC, and we're talking about completely different things. I love DCC. Me too. Oh, man, the funnel's so great. What?
That's like, I love it. You know, the Princess Posse, yay! You're like, what are you talking about?
Roll for spells? Talking cat? Like, you're like, what are we talking about each other? Edward says $8,000 pledge. What the fuck? Yep. And by the way, not like one of them. The tier was like 100
backers per tier, and they sold out like 5 of them, and they keep adding more.
Right, which means that there's been 500 plus people who have backed at $8,000.
Yep.
That's $4 million right there.
I know. So by the way, Eldamon, we're going to have a $9,999 tier where Derek and I will come to your house and we'll dress up as Eldamon and play with you as Eldamon.
Right. I will come to your house and run a campaign for you. Now, FL4G says, I absolutely despise Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I'm convinced of its popularity is a direct result of our intellectual decline. Now, I don't have my soundboard with me. Otherwise, I would be like, strong, because I also find lit RPG to be completely untenable. That being said,
I disagree 100%.
I did kind of tell myself I'll listen to the first book on audio tape. I refuse to read it, but I'll listen to it on audio tape.
I didn't know that. Did you listen to it?
No, I haven't, but I'm kind of committed to doing it because it's so popular. I feel like I should just give it a chance just so I can be aware of how bad it is. But generally speaking, yes, I think it's terrible.
I love it. I don't know. I can go into big diatribe. Well, first of all, I love lit RPG, and I read a lot of it, and I would say this is the thing. Most lit RPG, it always starts off really strong, and then it slowly declines, and then it goes off a cliff because
they try to turn it into a story.
Right. They actually don't have an outline. They don't really they come up with cool ideas. You know what? It's fucking bottom-up design. That's why. Seriously, no, that's why, because they come up with all these great ideas, and then they try to wrap a story around the great ideas, and they fail terribly. And the beautiful thing about Dungeon Crawl Carl is that the first few books does go into the details, like they all do. But seriously, by like the 5th or 6th or 7th book, it's all in the background. Like, it's just story, and it's basically a traditional.
It becomes you know what it's like? It's like where a game designer tricks you into reading their microfiction, right? It's like they're like, oh, I want to be a novelist. I want to make a real story like Brandon Sanderson. And they're like, instead, I'm going to sell you this like gimmicky thing. And then you buy it, and then they're like, okay, now I'm going to turn it into a real story. I'm the next Robert Jordan. And then you're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Well, but this, though, it is fascinating because, I don't want to spoil it, but it's impossible to talk about without spoiling. It's very good.
So, Public Access, which is the new Brindlewood.
I know what it is.
It's the new Brindlewood. Or burnt by what's it called? Carved by Brindlewood. Has sold out multiple $2,000 tiers, and it has an $8,000 tier to have Jason Cordova run a 15-session online game for you.
Mark, guess what you're going to be doing? You want Mark Seifter to run Eldamon for you? I'll tell you, we're going to be doing some $8,000. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. I'm starting to see that. I mean, heck, even the new. There's a lot.
Shadowtide, huh?
Well, Shadowtide. How much would you guys pay to have this man here?
$1.99.
To have this man here run the game with Smith. You don't want to pay for him. You want to pay for Smith. Trust me. And maybe even Bob. Oh my God. Priceless.
I will say this. Smith is the single greatest role-playing game player of all time.
I have only played with him a few times, and I have to say he's definitely in the top 3. Yeah. And I've only played with him a few times.
I haven't played with everybody, obviously, but in my experience, he is actually one of the greatest person of all time. Agile Monk has an NA6600, great camera, fantastic. How much to have Mark Seifter run a game for us from the Strait of Hormuz? A lot more. Rules can dig the $199. That sounds good. Mark says, I'd pay $8,000 for Mark to run a game.
Guess what? We might be having that here.
Mark T says, Bob and Smith would be worth it. So, I mean, I know that last year we ran Torchbearer, and Bob was in one of the games, and we ran it for our patrons for our higher tiers, our gold ticket tiers. And a lot of people got to play with me and Bob as a player, and they had a lot of fun with that. As Smith is there, I could do $9.99, which is fantastic. Testy, Agile Monk, yes, I do believe that I saw that. I saw that someone else mentioned that there's a $2,000 tier for the public access, and it's sold out.
Yeah, man.
I mean, hey, listen. Wait. Let's call it what it is.
Okay.
We're here at GaryCon. This is a silver badge. It's not cheap. It's like $170, and to be clear, it's $170. Gen Con is cheaper than that, and Gen Con is massive. Gen Con's like $140 or something like that. Now, they're both 4 days, but, you're here at Grand Geneva, and it's a little lodge, it's a few thousand people, there's a couple, don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but it isn't expensive. But wait a second, this isn't their badge. This is like the peasant badge, because they have a gold badge, and a platinum badge, and a diamond badge. And the gold badge sold out. $800?
It was $800.
Platinum badge is like $15, and I think the diamond badge is like $22.
I think it's $22, $25, something like that.
Yeah, 100. So there are people who are willing to drop serious money on their hobbies, and I think the problem is, as a whole, we as a community, not everybody, clearly, we're cheap. Because we're so used to getting so much fucking value out of a role-playing game. Because people are like, oh, I spent $50 once, and then me and my group of friends played it for 10,000 hours. And I'm like, I spend $250 just buying like new balls and gloves for racquetball, which lasts me maybe, 3 to 6 months.
Well, not only that. Think about like your sneakers.
Yeah.
Or like even how much you spent today on breakfast.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we're really getting to the point. I mean, there's a whole other discussion. It's like we sell our Dragon book for $40. $40 for a book of dragons. You can play 45 different dragons. You can play that forever.
Right. If you buy McDonald's for like 2 people, it's approaching $40.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like so crazy. And like there's other hobbies, like maybe you're into biking, or maybe you're into rock climbing. Okay. If you're into rock climbing, those little cams are anywhere from like $100 to $500 a piece, and you need dozens of them, and they break and they wear out. I don't know the last time I had an RPG wear out. I'll just duct tape that bitch back together.
Well, that one guy who was carrying around the Jewel of the Indigo Isle, he played that thing. Boy, that book was beat.
You were a little like, oh man, that thing looks. You're like, that thing got loved well.
I was both impressed and horrified.
Yeah, impressed and horrified. So ultimately, I guess what it comes down to is, I think as a community in general, not you individually, not me individually. I mean, I spent more than my fair share of money on RPGs. Certainly backed my fair share of premium tiers and Kickstarters. Even games that they would probably, honestly, these days give me for free, I still back it because I support the creators. But I have other hobbies, and other people have other hobbies that are just way more expensive. Think about people who like collect whiskeys or bourbons. It's like.
So our favorite story is last year at PAX East. That was our first convention ever, and we were across from Dispel Dice. And the RPG tea people, yes. The people who sell role-playing tea, and people would come over and be like, $40 book, we'll think about it, we'll come back. And then they would literally go over to Dispel Dice and just spend hundreds on dice and then buy a tea set for $100.
There's a woman who sells out instantaneously. She sells dice on Etsy, and they're $150 per die. Yeah. So a full set is like $1,000. And she sells out instantaneously. And she only makes like 10 sets a month. But she's making $10,000 a month selling 10 sets of dice.
I got it. So this is what we're going to do. So for your your Dragon Tide book,
Shadow Tide.
Shadowtide, we're only doing 10 books, and that's it.
And by only doing 10 books, he means there's only going to be 10 backers.
Well, 10 books and 10 backers, but each one will be $10,000.
And there we go,
per book.
That's my goal, $100,000. That's my goal.
There you go. Actually, the maximum you're allowed to put in Kickstarter is $9,999.
This is the Wu-Tang RPG.
You know what? It sounds crazy, but that's how limited editions work. I mean, where you have it's magic.
Okay, wait. New idea for a Kickstarter. You ready? New idea for a Kickstarter. I create an RPG, and it's one of one.
Oh yeah, I believe that. That would be
The only
you know what? That would be free market.
That's awesome. It's so awesome. Yeah, DTX. I make DTX, and there's only one copy in the whole world, or there's like you said, there's only 10 copies or 12 copies, and they're each $10,000. All right, well, it is almost 11 o'clock, so we're gonna sign off because we got to get to bed and wrap ourselves up and get ready for tomorrow because it is a full day. And then Sunday, luckily, it actually ends pretty early on Sunday. It ends at 2.
Okay.
But then we got to break down the booth, and then I got to fly home. But I'm looking forward to getting back into it. Of course, I really appreciate each and every single one of you for hanging out with us here at GaryCon. Hopefully you could kind of feel the vibes, and again, you can see it's 11 o'clock here. This bar, which you have been watching more than us, is probably more full than when we started. These people are drinking and gaming. I can see the pirate board people right down there, or at least I can see Tyler.
Yeah.
Or I see. Who else do I see?
Tyler's there.
I see the people from the booth two down from us that sell the laser cut wood paneling things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like this, these people are machines. I am a wuss. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And of course, obviously, we just.
And you did have ice cream.
I did have ice cream. Hey, Agile Monk, thank you for the gifting of the subs. Days live on. Congrats for that. Thank you, Agile Monk. Always appreciate when you throw out the gifted subs. I really appreciate that. That's very awesome of you. Always appreciate you there. Wisconsin bars are definitely a different beast. These people like their alcohol.
Oh, though we did have some very good cheese curds for dinner.
We did have cheese curds. That was really good. Adam says, super stoked for the Pirate Board review and the Pico review. Haven't gotten to Pico yet, but, Pico is the new game from Felix Isaacs, the guy who did Wild Sea. It's a game where it's like a Bug's Life, the RPG.
Cool.
Yeah. Is that a good way to describe it, Adam? Is it a Bug's Life, the RPG?
I love Bug's Life.
There we go. Artisan edition, handmade paper, printed on a physical printing press, bound in leather, hand bound, 10 copies, $10,000 each.
You know what? It's not a bad idea.
See, wait. We're by the way, we're getting into the KOLC insanity. Oh, Edward. Edward says, I won't buy books, but I will give money to Derek. KOLC has so much value. Edward, thank you, buddy.
Well, soon you'll be able to do both.
That's right. Soon there will be a game. Now, you might say, Derek, please, those of you, if you've not been paying attention, I brought on a closer. I brought in a closer, okay? Smith, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Smith's
like, oh, I'll have it done by the weekend.
Yeah. Smith's like, well, I really only have like a month, maybe 6 weeks that I can go without having a job. So I'll write an entire RPG in a month and a half.
I would be interested to have a writing contest between Smith and Mark.
Right. And see who can. I mean, Mark does have a lot of years of experience.
No doubt, but I mean, his superpower is I will write Mark. I'll say, Mark, I need this copy. And I literally just see in Discord the little dots, and it was like, boom, like a huge amount. I'm like, how does he do that?
Rules are cool. It's like, oh, are you working on the game behind the screen? And then he went, oh, Smith. Yes, Derek is working on the game behind the screen. It's called, I brought on Smith, and I said, hey, buddy, you want to do this with me? Let's go in 50-50. Let's figure this out. And, he's a machine, and he's just fantastic. Adam, by the way, confirming Pico it's a Bug's Life took place in a world that used to be inhabited by humans that no longer exist.
Neat.
But thank you, Edward. I really appreciate it, and I know you appreciate this channel, and we appreciate you. So that is very good. Woodland says us Wisconsinites are apparently banned from most drinking competitions. It's not fair. KC says, I spent hundreds on a night out with my wife when we had a kid-free night last week. It was fine. The pizza was decent and the drinks were strong. I legit thought about the RPG opportunity cost. You know how many RPGs I could have bought with this stupid night out with my wife? Come on.
I think about that every time I go out to dinner. I spend like $250 on an expensive dinner. And if it's good, I don't mind. But sometimes they're not so good. And I'm like, oh, man, the things I could have bought with that, the games I could have gotten, the video games, the TTRPGs, anything else.
I mean, I just think about, like, I was looking at the Noble Knight game booth, and the Noble Knight sells old RPG products and old board game stuff. And they brought out their big guns for this. You know, they've got original D&D box sets and stuff. And they've got some old second edition box sets. And I thought about, I own some of those, and I'm like, I bought those things in 1995. They have been sitting on my shelves for 30 years. And I bought them, for $35, which was hard-earned money, especially as a kid. But even though I may have not have played them for 20 plus years, the amount of joy I get seeing those things on my shelves is so worth it. It's crazy.
I'll tell you the worst day of my life, when my parents sold my childhood house and all my D&D modules, all my D&D books, almost all of them. I still have a few, but almost all my modules gone, everything, all this stuff gone. I was like, what did you do with it? And they were like, we got rid of it. And I was like, you what? I'm still mad at them for that.
Smith is definitely the best girl, for sure. Way says, by the way, my budget has an issue with how hard you've pushed StarCraft into my eye line. Working hard to try and justify staying out of it. Oh, Way, it's going to happen, buddy. I'm going in. I'm going in deep.
So yeah, Mark, about Crimson Desert. So yeah, actually I spoke to Yahtzee, Croshaw, and Jack Packard, and they're mixed on it. I'm going to probably wait for that's that game I was showing you, and I'm probably wait for it to be patched a little before I get into it, but I'm definitely very interested in that.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks everybody. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had a good Friday night hanging out here with us. You know me, I'm at GaryCon, I'm at the convention, but I'm talking to you guys because, this is a really cool group. This is a really fun convention, but at the end of the day, my community is you. It's fun for me to go to these things, to meet these people, but at the end of the day, I'm doing it because, I understand that not all of you can come to these, and if I can come, if I can learn some new tips and tricks, if I could figure out a way to suck more out of this hobby, and I can somehow share that with you as part of our communal effort to do so, that's what I'm going to do. Again, life has taken interesting turns and sort of led me into this position, but you guys are making this a much easier transition for me. So as always, you have my utmost thanks, and I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Stephen, for allowing me this opportunity to come hang out with you, work with you, get to see things, meet people that I would never have met before.
I just needed a wingman.
He just needs a wingman. So there you go. Will there be a live tomorrow? Rules are cool. I don't know. It's Saturday night. We'll see. I mean, if I get bored, maybe. There definitely will not be Sunday night because I'll be flying home. But you never know. Rules are cool. But my guess is no. But there might be. But we should be back live Tuesday. I will be home and free to stream. So we'll be back there to this one. Dr. Stevel says, host a cold one to Gary's memory. Well, I was doing shots of really, really expensive whiskey last night, and those were in Gary's memory. So that'll have to do.
That was very strong.
Thank you, Dr. D. Hart, and thank you, Agile Monk. Thank you, everybody who came out tonight and supported us. Thank you to Edward. Thank you to Agile Monk. Thank you to Sorrel, 15 Insight, Scotty Fournier, Tundalis, Adam, Big Die, 15 Insight, Jackal, Commander Snookums, and Dirty Phil, and Wicked Donuts. Appreciate you all for supporting us and doing what you do. Thank you to all of our patrons. And of course, if you want to be part of our community, if you want to be part of the the process. If you want to maybe help influence and guide the direction of this channel, the games, all that other stuff that we're working on, if you're interested in one of these mega games that we're going to be doing, come check us out, patreon.com/nightsoflastcall. Most of these people in chat are already members. Why aren't you? We'd love to see you there. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time on Nights of Last Call.
Peace.